In today's subscriber story, the older sister of the guy's best friend starts acting really weird. If you know what I mean, man. It escalates so much that at one point, I'm not going to spoil it. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber who sent this story in, he has a best friend, and his best friend's name is Ben. By the way, you can send in stories to my Instagram. It's in the description. Anyways, right, so Ben is his best friend, and he's been best friends with Ben for like 10 years at this point. He's been kind of like a lifelong best friend. And Ben has this older sister who is 1 year older than him. And let's call this sister Caroline. By the way, Ben isn't actually his real name, too. I never really use the real names ever, even if I was given them. So Ben is the friend. Caroline is Ben's older sister. The first event, or the first like happening, right? The first thing that like happened. It was, Ben was, or the sub was invited over to Ben's house. They were just gonna like, chill for a little bit. It wasn't like a sleepover or anything. It was just like a normal day, right? So, as the sub had done so many times in the past, goes over to Ben's house. The parents are out. It's just Ben there. They're probably just gonna like, chill, maybe play like some Call of Duty or something. I don't know. It's just like not that big, no high stakes, no like big event or anything. They're just chilling at the house. So it's just Ben, it's just him, and it's also Ben's older sister Caroline, who's upstairs at the time, probably just like, I don't know, doing some like older sister things. Bro, I don't know what older sisters do. Like that's not me. I don't know, man. So the subscriber and Ben were just kind of like, playing some game, probably like Call of Duty or Modern Warfare or something, right? So they were just, they're chilling, playing that game. And eventually, they go to the kitchen. I think like Ben or maybe the subscriber, I'm not sure, either or. Like one of them was thirsty or just want to take like a little break. So they went to the kitchen, got some water, just kind of like, talking about stuff. They're in the same school as well. So they were talking about one of the classes that they had together. They had like a major assignment or something, and they weren't partners for it, but they, it was a similar assignment, so they could at least discuss it together. And they were just like, dude, I have no idea how to go about this, right? They're just chilling, having a pretty good time. And that's when Caroline comes down and like Ben, the subscriber had always like known Caroline because like Caroline was like Ben's older sister. So for that reason, he was like aware of her and she was aware of Ben or of the subscriber because like Ben would always hang out with him because Ben and the subscriber were really good friends. So Ben was like, okay, like I'm gonna go like back over to the game room or the living room or wherever they're playing the game, right? And then the subscriber was like, all right, let me refill my water. He's like, bet, I'll meet you there, right? So Ben goes over to the game room. The subscriber goes to refill his water, and Caroline, Ben's sister, is just kind of like hanging out in the kitchen. She's on her phone, and when she notices Ben completely leave, she says like, hey, how you doing? Like to the subscriber, and the subscriber's like, good, like thanks. Haven't seen you in a while. And it actually had been a couple years since he had seen Ben's older sister because he had seen Ben a lot since then. But, I guess he's only been to Ben's house a couple times. And those couple times in that long period of time, he just like didn't run into her. Maybe she was just doing something else. Either way, right? He'd seen Ben a lot, but he had not seen his older sister in quite a while. So yeah, so then Ben's older sister was like, yeah, man, it's been a second, you're looking good. And Ben, the subscriber, keep mixing up him and Ben, sorry. The subscriber doesn't actually think much about this until later on. He's like, oh, thanks, like you too, like appreciate that. But the way she said it, she had this like look on her face. She had like a little bit of like a smile, like a little bit of like a wink, bro. Like she had a little bit of something when she said that, a little bit more energy than normal, right? That wasn't just a casual compliment is what I'm trying to say. So Caroline, Ben's older sister, then is like to the subscriber, it's like, oh, well, it's been nice seeing you again. I hope to see you more. Like, make sure to stick around. And if you're ever around, let me know. Maybe we can hang out or something. And once again, the subscriber didn't think anything of this. So Ben's older sister had complimented how he looked and asked to hang out. But since, like, he'd been friends with Ben for so long, he just assumed these were, like, common courtesies or just the older sister being nice to him. Because eventually she did go back upstairs. Like, hey, like, I do have to, I'm in the middle of something. Like, I have to go back up, right? But I hope to see you around. Call me. And he just kind of assumed that was like a ha-ha funny comment. And he wasn't really paying attention to the body language of the sister. But it becomes more apparent later. The only reason why the subscriber even like was telling me about this now is because the later situations, which you will hear about, made him think back to this moment and be like, oh my God, I was so stupid. I didn't even realize. Pause. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. All right, play. All right, so this second event, because there's kind of 3 events and they each escalated more and more. The event I just told you about before was really just like a little bit. It was just like preliminary. It was just like setting the scene. This second event gets a little bit more interesting, is a way to put it. Anyways, right, so Ben and the subscriber, they want to go see a new movie. And this new movie is pretty popular. I don't even know what it was. I wasn't told, but it was pretty popular, but it also was like appealing to a wide audience, if you know what I mean. So it wasn't like a very niche, I don't know, movie that only Ben and the subscriber would like. For that reason, the sister wanted to come along too. And this was about like 3 weeks after the last incident. So Ben, like, honestly had no problem with it because him and his sister, like, didn't have a relationship where Ben was like always annoyed with her. They weren't like incredibly close, like they weren't like boys with each other, because I know some people have relationships like that with their siblings, but they really didn't mind each other's company, because I know a lot of siblings really are just like not a fan of hanging out with each other for way too long. But they didn't mind each other's company, and obviously the subscriber had no issue with, you know, Caroline coming, because she had been really nice to him last time he saw her, and also he had quote unquote partially known her for like 10 years at this point. Not really, but he had known of her, and he's best friends with Ben, so of course she can come, right? So they go over to buy some popcorn. If you don't know, at the movie theaters, they don't really make a lot of money. This is what I've heard. They don't make the money on the tickets. They make the money on the food. So the food is always marked up so much, man. Like, it's an incredible amount of money for very basic food items. But anyways, right, they go to buy some, you know, snack items for the movie. Movie starts in like 5 minutes, and they go to buy some popcorn. And they look at the options, and they look at their wallet. Ben looks at how much money he brought, and, you know, the subscriber and the older sister, they just didn't have their wallets on them. Don't totally know why, but they just didn't have money on them. Ben was the only one who had money, and since Ben didn't have a credit card or anything, he only had physical cash bills. He looked at how much money he had, and he realized that they could only get one small popcorn and then one, you know, large popcorn to share between 2 people instead of 3 small popcorns. That's just how it worked out. So Ben said, hey, look, I'll take the small popcorn, because he knew that like having the small popcorn was going to be less popcorn than sharing the big popcorn with someone, because there's also like a medium option, but it just didn't work for their budget. So, you know, the subscriber was like, okay, yeah, like Caroline and I can share the large popcorn. This is where things get interesting. So they go to the movie theater, they sit down, and obviously Caroline and the subscriber sit next to each other because they have to, because they're sharing the popcorn, right? And, you know, they sit down and the movie starts playing and, you know, they're eating their popcorn. Do you know the classic movie scenes where it's like you meet hands in the popcorn? It's like, oh my God, so romantic, so cute. You know that like classic movie scene or cartoon scene, and like the hands could join in the popcorn. It's like, oh my God. Then they get married and have 6 children and worry about their Roth IRA and sending up and starting a college fund. You know how it goes. But anyways, right. So they're at the movie theater. They're watching the movie, and, you know, Ben, the subscriber, keep mixing them up. God damn, they can't. The subscriber and Ben's older sister, Caroline, they're eating popcorn, but then Caroline, right, goes to grab his hand in the popcorn, and not like grab it, but like, you know, just went for the hand, right? Because the subscriber reached in to get some popcorn, right? And Caroline very tactically reached her hand in as well. And she, you know, at first the subscriber thought it was like an accidental grab, right? Totally understandable. Like, oh, we're both reaching for popcorn at the same time. Our hands touched. Haha, yeah, that's a little awkward. But then he realized that she wasn't letting go. And he looked up to her, and she was looking, like, staring straight at the movie and was, like, kind of smiling. And he was like, he was just like, oh, what is going on? What is going on? Help, someone, what? So he's like holding her hand for like a minute because he doesn't know what to do. He's too like afraid to just pull it out normally, because that'd be so awkward just to sit. It's awkward no matter what, man, but that'd be awkward to sit next to her. And he's just like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Quickly stands up, and obviously she kind of lets go of his hand after he stands up, because she didn't want to like stand up with him. I mean, maybe she wanted to go to the bathroom with him. But no. You know what I mean? No, but he went off to the bathroom. That was his diversion, right? And it was like far enough into the movie that he was able to stall it long enough that he just got back from the bathroom in time that like there was like 5 minutes left in the movie. The popcorn was basically out. He obviously didn't reach for more popcorn, right? That was basically the second event. The third event is probably the third event is the one that's like, you can't question it away. You can't be like, oh, she accidentally grabbed her. This is the one that's like the most out of pocket, the most absurd, the one where like it just went way too far. Today's secret word is sister. So if you made it this far into the comment section, comment sister down below. I just like to see how many people made it this far. And to see how many people make it this far into the video, I ask you guys to comment a secret word in the comment section down below. And I do my best to heart as many as I can. I can't heart all of them, but it's the easiest way to get a free heart and try and be a top commenter on the channel. With that being said, back to the story, and this is when it gets good. The third and final incident involves a sleepover. So you know it's going to be good, right? So the subscriber is having a sleepover at Ben's house. Like, they've been planning this for a while. It's going to be pretty fun. Like, he's planning to come over. They're going to, you know, play some games, right? Watch a movie, stay up pretty late. And yeah, it's going to be a fun night, or at least he thought it was going to be a fun night in a not awkward, weird situation. But, you know, sometimes you're not right about everything, man. It is what it is. It's just life. Wait, so the sleepover is going pretty well. And the subscriber noticed that Ben looks pretty tired. But, you know, they're playing some rounds of, like, Call of Duty. They start a movie, and they're just, like, sitting there. And they're about halfway through the movie when Ben's like, dude, I am so sorry. I'm absolutely exhausted. Like, I know, like, I should have, like, you know, slept a little more the night before. Like, I knew you were coming over. And, like, it was, like, 11. So it wasn't, like, super early. But Ben was like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I just got to go to bed. And the subscriber's like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, I get it. Big assignment. Like, because they turned in the assignment they were talking about weeks ago, the night before. So, like, or, like, the day of. So this sleepover was like big celebratory, but Ben was up really late last night. So subscriber's like, I get it. Ben's like, hey, just stay here. You can finish the movie. And the subscriber's like, I think I will. I haven't seen this yet. Like, I'll come up pretty soon. Let me just say that the subscriber should have gone up with Ben. Crisis would have been averted. Anyways, right, so Ben goes up. He's tired. He goes to bed. And the subscriber's just sitting there on the couch watching, you know, the movie. So the subscriber's like there for like 15 minutes when he hears, you know, footsteps down the stairs and sees, you know, Caroline, Ben's older sister, you know, come on and sit on the couch with him. And he's like, hey, what's up? She's like, hey, you know, how's it going? Like, I don't know. I saw you were like watching this movie and like, I don't know. I've seen a little bit of it, but I want to watch a little more. And he's like, oh, do you want me to rewind any bit? And she says, no, I watched about to this point. Little sus, but like whatever, right? Fine. So I'm not going to over-explain what happens next too much, but they're kind of just sitting there. And the subscriber kind of feels like her, you know, closing in a little bit, and he just doesn't think much of it. But basically, right, Caroline makes a move. The sister makes a move, and the subscriber kind of like rejects it more or less. He kind of like backs off. He's like, whoa, like, whoa. Because here's the thing, like, Caroline, in his opinion, was a good-looking girl, right? He would have happily accepted all these moves if she wasn't his best friend's older sister, right? That's a huge like caveat, right? It's not like, oh, she is. And he just looks at her and he says, hey, like, it's not that I don't think you're attractive. I really do, but you're my best friend's older sister. And she kind of just looks at him and she's like, kind of gets all flustered and like runs upstairs. He's like, like, this is now a situation that I got to deal with. Like, and he's like, I just know for a fact this is not over. The next day in school, like, he's just walking around and he sees Ben come up to him. And Ben kind of has this really intense look in his eyes. He's like, dude, no. What did the sister tell him? And at first he was just like, he was convinced that Ben was going to think that like the sister was lying and that, you know, the subscriber actually, you know, tried to get with the sister, not the other way around. And that he was going to like really have a stand on his friendship with his best friend. Ben comes up to him, is like, look. And the subscriber's like, dude, like, and he's like, don't even say anything, like, I'm so sorry. And then the subscriber's like, oh, okay. He's like, it wasn't appropriate for what my sister did. Not acceptable at all. I'm so sorry. Like, I get it if you don't want to ever come over again. And the subscriber's like, no, dude, like, I enjoy hanging out with you. Like, it doesn't even matter. Let's just forget about it and move on. Subscribe if you haven't done so. And if you want to support the channel, watch another video or just binge watch a bunch of stories. Easy way to do that is Storytime playlist. In today's subscriber story, the subscriber accidentally walks in on his best friend's sister, and it was pretty awkward. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber has a best friend who he's known for like 10 years. And for the sake of this video, let's just call the dude Ben. I know I've used Ben a lot, but hey, it's a pretty solid name. Anyway, so Ben also had an older sister who we'll be calling Kiki. She's kind of irrelevant for like the first minute or two, but she becomes pretty integral to the story in just a second, as you guys will see. Final bit of important information is that Kiki, who is Ben, older sister, right? She had a boyfriend, and let's call this guy Jack, right? So Jack and Kiki had been in a relationship for like probably like 2 years at this point. It was a long-term relationship. And so the subscriber was actually kind of friends with Jack, but it wasn't like super close friends because, there's a bit of an age gap. And Jack was kind of just like a mentor figure. Like the subscriber would go to Jack when he had any questions about like school, relationship, life, etc. Anyways, right. So the day of the story, the subscriber is invited over to Ben's house for a sleepover. As you know, Ben and the subscriber are good friends. They're in the same grade. They've been hanging out a lot more recently. And yeah, he's coming over for a sleepover. They're probably going to watch a movie, play some Xbox. It's like, have a really solid Friday night, man. Just like a really good Friday night. Like just something to look forward to. You have a long week, but if you have a good Friday night planned, you can get through a lot. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, right. So, the actual day the sleepover happens, the subscriber goes over to Ben's house. I hope I've not been calling Ben Jack, by the way. Jack is the boyfriend of Ben's older sister. Sometimes juggling all these like fake names in my head gets complicated. Anyways, right, so, the subscriber and Ben, they're watching a movie and they decide to go into the kitchen, have a little bit of a water break. Like it was about halfway through the movie anyways. I think Ben wanted to get some snacks or something. The subscriber was kind of thirsty, so he's getting some water. So they're in the kitchen and, the sister, Kiki, was there. And, since, the subscriber had been friends with Ben for a while, he had known kind of Kiki, right? She was down there and, she was like, oh, hi, like subscriber. Didn't say his name because I don't know it, and also I'm not going to leak it, right? But she was like, oh, hi there, like I haven't seen you in so long, like it's good to see you again, like hope everything's going well. And at this point, I think Kiki was probably like either in her first year of college, but I think more likely she's like a senior in high school. And he was like, yeah, how's that going? The subscriber is asking, like, is life good? All that kind of small talk like that. And they just had like a very nice, friendly interaction. Let me just say that the next interaction between the subscriber and Kiki, the older sister, it just didn't go down as cleanly. It just wasn't as smooth as you'll probably see in a second. He's right. So Ben and the subscriber, they eventually, they get their food, they get their snacks. They go back, they finish the movie. Pretty solid movie, right? So, they're kind of like, I don't know, it's got to be like 10, 11. It's not so late that, they want to go to bed, but they still want to, they want to go up, they want to do something. They don't want to go and invest into like another movie or something because, that would just be too late, and they kind of just want to switch it up. So they say, Ben's like, hey, do you want to go upstairs to my room and we can play some Xbox or something before we, call it a night? And subscriber's like, yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. Been a second since I've hopped on, Xbox, so it'd be nice to go on there again. And yeah, so anyways, they head up to Ben's room they head up to Ben's room. I got the name right. Points for me. Nice. Good job, me. So they get to Ben's room and, the Xbox is there and there's the bed. And then Ben's kind of looking around and he finds one controller, right? So he hands it to the subscriber and he just can't find the other controller. He's like, dude, where's the other controller? I had two at one point. Like I didn't like take them anywhere. So he's kind of thinking about it for a second. He's like, oh yeah, like the other controller's in Kiki's room. He doesn't totally know. The subscriber's like, dude, why? And he's like, dude, I don't even know, but I just know for a fact it's there. So anyways, right, the controller's in Kiki's room and the Ben's like, can you go get it? And because I don't know, he's like setting up the game or something or tweaking with his Xbox, trying to get that all set up and such. The subscriber's like, dude, like, I don't want to go into your sister's room. He's like, dude, it's fine. Like, she knows who you are. Like, it's not a big deal. So, right, the subscriber's like, all right, bro, like, I'll go to your sister's room and I really hope it's there or it's going to be kind of weird. And he's like, dude, it's there. Trust me. And the subscriber's like, okay, yeah, sure. No, I'll just go to your sister's room. He's like, okay, do it. And he's like setting up the game or whatever. And the subscriber's like, all right, fine. Like, it's a little weird, but I'll go over, right? So he goes over starts walking down the hall and he sees that, Kiki's room is, it's like a little bit, it's not locked. The door's a little bit open. There's also light in the room, meaning that someone's there. She also kind of like hears like, some noise. So he's like, okay, she's there. So he goes up to the door. By the way, real quick, if you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like in the video, if you do those two things, you will receive literally nothing, which is a fantastic deal. I know, I'm just feeling so generous today. I'm just such a wonderful person for doing that. I'm already aware of that, but anyways, back to the story. The subscribers, he's like walking down, the hallway, and he's going to the door, and he sees it's like a crack open, and there's light coming from it, and there's someone inside. So what he does is he kind of like, he knocks on the door, And he starts asking, like, he's like, hey, like, is there a controller in here? But the thing is, instead of like knocking at the door and waiting, he's kind of like going on autopilot, and he kind of sees that the door's already open. So you know how you knock on a door and you're like opening it at the same time? That's exactly what he was doing. He was walking into Kiki's room, knocking on the door while opening the door, while asking the question, hey, do you have a controller in here? Like, Ben says that there's a controller in here. So that was a bad call. Let me just say that. So, just to put it lightly, that was a very bad idea. So as he's like opening the door, he's like, hey, do you have a control? And then, he looks straight ahead because the bed is facing the door. She's with some random guy who he doesn't recognize, right? And, they weren't doing something the second that, he walked in. They weren't, in the middle of anything as he was, looking at them. But it was very, 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 very apparent, right? It was extremely apparent. It was so transparent. Okay, you get the point. It was very obvious what they were doing, 1 millisecond before that half-open door was opened by the subscriber. And Kiki just looks at him and the thing is, though, real quick, tangent, Kiki doesn't know that, the subscriber and her boyfriend at the time, who was definitely not the guy in the bed, were actually kind of close. She had no idea. So she, wasn't worried or anything. She wasn't worried that, the subscriber would tell, Jack? Yeah, Jack's his name. But she was mad that he walked in on her when she didn't want anyone walking in. So Kiki looks at him and says, why did you not knock? And, the subscriber starts to go I knocked. And then she's like, dude, get out of my room. And very aggressively. And the subscriber's like, yeah, of course. So he's walking back. And before he even it really registers that she was cheating on her boyfriend, the first thing that just occupies his brain is just dude, why me? Why me? Why couldn't Ben do this? It would be so less awkward if it was Ben. It wouldn't be great if it was Ben, because Ben probably wouldn't even knock. He would just barge right in there. But at the same time, dude, I don't even know this girl. At least Ben's just, he was just upset with the fact, how reality works. So he walks back to Ben's room, and, Ben looks at him because he's got the game all set up. He's like, dude, where's the controller? And he's like, he looks at Ben, he's like, bro, I just walked in on her with some guy. It's so, he's like, dude, just, I can't go back there. I honestly can't go back there. I'm sorry. I didn't get the controller. And as the subscriber's saying this, it's starting to his brain's starting to realize, right? He's starting to comprehend the fact that it wasn't Jack in that bed. It wasn't Jack, right? It wasn't her boyfriend of over 2 years and also his mentor or whatever, the dude he looked up to. It was some random dude. And he was also very sure that at the time they were still, Jack and this girl, Kiki, were still in a relationship because he saw Jack a couple days before and he talked about it. And because the subscriber asked Jack for advice about relationships, and Jack was going off about how great of a relationship he had. So yeah, it kind of sucked because he was sitting there realizing that, he had to do the right thing and break it to Jack. He had to. So then he kind of turns to Ben. He's like, and Ben's about to be like, fine, I'll go in there. He's like, dude, wait, hold up. And Ben's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, bro, isn't she in a relationship with Jack? And Ben's like, yeah, they've been in a relationship for 2 years. Was it not him? And the subscriber just looks at Ben with this face. And Ben's face starts to drop a little bit. And he's like, it wasn't Jack? And the subscriber's like, no, dude, it was some random guy. And he's like, well, what if they were just studying or something? What if it was a project? And the subscriber looks at Ben like, dude, let me just say, I didn't necessarily see anything, but just the context. If you were there, you would have known for a fact that, it wasn't just a little study sesh, a little harmless little study project group, whatever, right? It was some straight on not that. That's about as far as I want to go. So Ben, who's also had a lot of conversations with Jack because Jack's been dating his sister for 2 years at this point, and Ben also really liked Jack as just a person, dude to dude. He just really appreciated him because he was just a good guy. He just had everything in the right place, right? And Ben was a little bit in disbelief. He's like, no, dude, it probably was Jack, right? You you just probably like left the room really quickly. Like you probably just like you probably saw him from like a weird angle or something. And the subscriber's like, dude, no, I saw what I saw. And then, Ben's like, okay, well, so Ben goes up to his window and he looks outside and he looks at the car in the driveway because there's like his parents' cars or car or whatever. And then, he knew what Jack's car looked like. And he looked at the car in the driveway, and sure enough, it was a car he just does not recognize at all. And he kind of just like turns back. He's like, maybe Jack just got a new car, right? Because he was really kind of like trying to like, he was trying not to believe the truth at this point. And the subscriber said, and kind of probably something that wasn't the smartest thing to say, he said, you can go look for himself because, yeah, Ben actually went to go look for himself. He didn't even, like, go in to ask for the controller. He literally just barged into the room and, the subscriber was just kind of, like, sitting in Ben's room. He hears, like, a door slam open, and then he hears kind of, like, screaming and yelling coming from Kiki, Ben's sister, and then Ben walking into his room with his, like, face kind of, like, flushed, and he's like, dude, yeah, that is definitely not Jack. Like 100%. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah, my sister is cheating on her boyfriend. Yeah. So the subscriber and Ben just like, they sit on the bed and they're just like, okay, bro, like, wow, like that sucks. And the subscriber looks at Ben. He's like, dude, I gotta tell him. And Ben's like, I don't want to get my sister in trouble. And then he's like, but Jack's such a good guy. He deserves to know. Like, he honestly just deserves to know better. Like I love my sister, of course, because like she's my sister, but I don't want her hurting anyone like this. And, they had a pretty, like, it was not an open relationship. Like, they definitely knew that. And obviously, if it was, then, like, Jack wouldn't have cared. So why would it matter that he told him? Like, so the subscriber is like, yeah, I just got to tell him. So the subscriber whips out his phone and he, texts Jack. And he's like, dude, can we hang out tomorrow? And Jack's like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, well, anything on your mind? He's like, yeah, this isn't going to be a great conversation. Like, just prep yourself. It's not going to be great. And Jack was probably thinking at the time, like, that, so the subscriber was going through something or he was having lady issues or something. Definitely not that his girlfriend was cheating on him, but whatever, right? So Jack is like, yeah, of course, bro. Like, I'll be there. And then he texts him as well. He said, do you mind if I bring Ben too? And the dude's like, yeah, of course. I love Ben. Like, Kiki's little brother. Like, of course he can come. And the subscriber's like, ooh. Kind of referred to you as Kiki's little brother. That's interesting. So about an hour passes, and they're just kind of like online. They're just kind of like browsing YouTube at this point because they don't have the other Xbox controller. They can't play Xbox, but they're also like, one, it's not late enough for them to go to bed, and two, they're pretty wired because of the whole thing. They just like a bunch of adrenaline, right? Because they just like they just walked in on something they shouldn't have, or at least Ben knew what he's walking into, but he had to like confirm or whatever. So they're just kind of like they're chilling, whatever, right? And then you hear a knock on the door about like an hour and a half later, and they're just like, is it like are like Ben's parents like want us to go to bed or something? Like, it's not even that late at this point, man. And also they really don't care. But when Ben goes to answer the door, he opens it, and the subscriber sees that Kiki's at the door. He's like, oh, no. And the Kiki's like, hey, Ben, can I talk to you for a second? And the subscriber's just waiting in Ben's room, like kind of just waiting there, hearing kind of like a muffled conversation. And then he hears Ben say, yeah, no, 100%, I get it. Like, I get it. And he comes back in the room, and the subscriber's like, what was that? And Ben says, hey, my sister told me that under no circumstances can I tell Jack. And the subscriber's like, dude, Jack needs to know. And he says, yeah, I 100% agree. She didn't say anything about you. So, I will not be able to join you tomorrow. And he cannot, he's just got to, like, when he breaks up with her, because he definitely is going to break up with her, he's got to know that it was you who said it, not me, because I will be destroyed and I live with her and she will make my life a living hell, basically. But you don't live with her, so you're telling him, not me. So, yeah, the subscriber had to do it alone. He understands why Ben couldn't. And honestly, as long as someone was telling Jack, that didn't really matter, So, the next day rolls around and Jack comes over to the subscriber's house. He's like, what's up, bro? Like, how's life been? And the subscriber, like, right away just kind of like gets into it. He's like, dude, look, this isn't going to be a really fun conversation and I'm really sorry. And Jack's like, okay. He's like, I was at Ben's house. And his sister, Kiki, yes, her girlfriend, he's like, yeah, Kiki. He's like, no, don't start that. It's not gonna be good. He says, yeah, sorry, bro. Like, I was at Ben's house and I happened to walk into Kiki's room and I'm sorry, but she was cheating on you with another guy. And Jack's face just goes from like, to like, what?
And at first she's like, dude, no, it definitely like wasn't what you think it was. And he's like, no, it's 100%. Like I even like, Ben was supposed to come too, but she told him specifically not to talk to you about it. But she didn't say not to for me not to talk to you, because she doesn't know that we're friends or whatever. And he's like, if I ask Ben, will he confirm? And the subscriber's like, yeah, Jack, I'm sorry. If you ask Ben, he saw it too, and he's also going to tell you that Kiki said not to talk to him or not to talk to you. So I'm sorry, like I wouldn't make this up. And he's like, I got to break up with her. He's like, dude, it was a very strict relationship. Like we both made an oath not to cheat on each other. This was in no way an open relationship. And subscribers like, yeah, Jack, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, little bro, stay around. I want to show you how it's done. Like take this as a life lesson if you're ever in this situation. So Jack is just like, or the subscriber's just like, oh, it's about to go down, boys. It's about to go down. So, Jack, rings her up and he says, hey, the subscriber, and says his name, right, was at Ben's house, and he says that you were cheating on me. And there's just like silence on the phone. And he said, also, apparently you told Ben not to talk to me. And the subscriber's like, dude, don't get Ben in trouble. Don't get Ben in trouble, right? But it doesn't matter, right? He was already going off. He's like, yeah, and I just by the way, I thought it was pretty clear that cheating was not a thing that we thought was okay. I guess I wasn't clear about that. Like he was kind of being like a little sarcastic about it, but understandably so, man. Like he's allowed to be salty. He just got cheated on in a 2-year-long relationship. Like, oh my God, like, okay, right? He was taking it pretty well. And he's like, hey, I don't like doing this over the phone, but I thought I had to do this as soon as possible. And yeah, we're breaking up. And he just shuts it off. He was like, normally it's better to break up with someone in person, but I just want to get it done with as soon as possible. And the subscriber's like, oh, wow, man, like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, like, it is what it is. Life is life. Like, I'll be sad for a while, but you just keep pushing. And the subscriber's like, this is why I like this guy. This is why I like this guy. Well, the story is, don't cheat. Subscribe if you haven't already, then watch another story video. In today's story, the subscriber meets the creepiest sister on the entire planet. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber sent in this story, his name's, let's call him Tommy, right? Tommy's a good kid. He's a good guy, right? And, Tommy has recently met this new guy, and this new guy, let's call this guy Sam. So Tommy's the subscriber, and Sam's Tommy's new friend. And Sam's really cool, man. Like, Tommy and Sam actually have a lot in common. And he's just like one of those guys, Sam's just like one of those guys who's like always been around. He's always gone to school with Tommy, but they just never hung out. And for some reason, right, maybe they had a project together. For some reason, I don't even know. They're kind of exposed to each other. And they found out that they actually had so much in common and really they really messed with each other, man. Like, it was like one of those friendships that, the person was there the whole time. You just didn't even know. So Tommy and Sam, they started chilling at school a lot, right? They're hanging out a lot. And then, one day, Sam's like, hey, dude, like, do you want to come over to my house? Like, we can play some Xbox, like, just kind of chill there, maybe in a more relaxed environment. And, the thing is, like, Tommy's like, yeah, of course. Like, that sounds great. Like, I'd love that, bro. Like, of course. And Tommy's pretty excited, man. Like, at the end of the week, he was going to go over to his friend's house. He's just going to chill, play some Xbox, just have a really good time. Like, it was going to be a good ending to the week. Definitely not going to have any super psycho, stalker, weirdo, creepy sisters. Nope, definitely not. That's definitely not the title of this video. Definitely not a massive spoiler to what's about to happen. Because Tommy definitely didn't have any super weird sisters that would do weird stalker. You get the point. Anyways, right, so, skip to the whole, like, the hangout day, right? So, Tommy comes over to Sam's house, and Sam's like, what's up, bro? Like, welcome to the crib, whatever, right? So, it's a Saturday. It's a good day, right? They're just chilling. And, they flip on some Xbox games. I don't know exactly what they're playing, but they're having a pretty good time, right? They're doing their thing. They're having a good time. And, so, they're in the middle of some game, maybe some, like, COD zombies or something. They're just, like, doing whatever they're doing, right? And then, Tommy, the subscriber, he hears some steps. Here's some steps coming from the stairs that are like directly behind him, and he doesn't really think anything of it. Like, maybe it's like a sister, maybe it's some parents, maybe it's, I don't know, like their dog, maybe it's their pet, 15-foot tarantula, all these normal things that honestly could be. So he didn't really think anything of it. And then they hear the footsteps, or at least Tommy hears the footsteps stop. And it wasn't like they walked out of the room or they walked to another room. It's the footsteps, they kind of just stopped. as if someone was like walking down the stairs and then saw them and stopped and started watching them, as if that was the case. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. And it's like, Tommy was feeling this presence watching him. The hairs on the back of his neck start to stick up. And he just turns around. He's like, turns around and he sees this girl. This girl that kind of looks like Sam. So he makes the assumption, okay, that's Sam's sister. Just staring at them with these like big wide open eyes. And then Sam, who realizes that Tommy just turned around and is distracted, pauses the game on screen, right, whatever it is, and says like, yo, like, Natalie, why? And she's like, hi, I didn't know you had a friend over. And Sam's like, yeah, this is my sister Natalie. This meet my friend. He's pretty cool. Meet Tommy. I just met him. He's a cool dude. Like, just playing some COD or whatever. Like, is there anything you'd like? Natalie's like, nope. Nice to meet you, Tommy. And Tommy's like, nice to meet you, Natalie. This is a great first impression, not totally you being super weird or whatever. Yeah, this is a fantastic first impression. I don't think I've had a better first impression. It was not a good first impression. He's a nice guy. So he's like, hey, Natalie, how's it going? Hope things are good. Right, so they go back to the game. They go back to like COD Zombies or whatever, and they're doing pretty good. And Tommy's pretty into the game. He's really kind of like grinding it out. And but then he gets that feeling, right? He gets a little weird feeling, like hairs on the back of his neck kind of stand up a little bit, and he's just kind of like, why? And he turns around, right? And Natalie, Sam's sister, is staring at him and then quickly like turns away to like look at the game, as if she was like staring at the game the whole time, but she was obviously staring at at Tommy. So Tommy turns back around, and then Sam turns around. He's like, Natalie, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just watching you guys play the game. He's like, okay, it's a little weird, but okay. Natalie's like, fine, I'll go, like, whatever. And, she leaves at this point. And Sam is, Tommy is a little bit like, okay, whatever. That's a little weird, but I'll get over it. I'll get over myself. It is what it is, right? And, so, they finish their game. And they both like basketball. And, Sam happens to have, like, a basketball hoop outside of, like, his garage or whatever. So it's like, yo, do you want to, like, just throw some hoops or something? And Tommy's like, yeah, let's, that sounds really good. I mean, part of Tommy was just kind of excited to, he liked playing COD Zombies, don't get me wrong, but he kind of wanted to get out of the house because he didn't like the whole feeling of being watched, right? So they're playing like one man like defending, one man trying to shoot. I don't know basketball that well, so I can't give you like super technical terms. But anyways, right, so they're rotating back and forth. They're pretty evenly matched, and it's a pretty chill, light game. They're not like super stressing. They're not being some like sweaty gamer Minecraft kid clicking at the equivalent of like 500 CPS, whatever that would be. I don't know what that'd be in basketball. But being like a super sweaty nerd or anything, they're just having a chill game. So, and at this point, right, Tommy is now trying to score. He's trying to shoot. And, Sam is defending. And, right above the garage is a window. Right above the garage is a window. So, it's above the hoop. The hoop's below it. And Sam's looking up to take a shot. He's trying to make it, right? He's trying to make a dunk. He's trying to make some hoops or whatever, right? And he looks up into the window, like he just naturally, his eyes flash up there. And he locks eye contact with Natalie, who's staring right at him. And he kind of fumbles and kind of like completely misses the ball. And Sam's like, bro, you good? And he notices that like Tommy has been looking at the window a little bit. He's looking at a weird direction. So Sam comes over, turns around, looks up and sees Natalie up there, and he kind of like screams like, Natalie, what? Like, what are you doing? You're being so weird. And Natalie like quickly runs away from the window. And Sam's like, dude, I'm so sorry. My sister's a little weird, but this is like excessive. I'm so sorry. Speaking of windows, the secret word of the day is window. So if you made it this far into the video, I'd like you to go down, comment window down below. I'm going to be trying to heart as many of those as I can, but I'm going to be honest, like hearting comments has been difficult because there's just been so many comments, which honestly I'm super grateful for. Thank you for all the support on the recent videos with the likes and all that good stuff, right? So I will do my best to heart as many as I can, but I'm actually going out for the next couple days. I'm going to have a good New Year's with some friends, but that means I'm making like 6 videos in one night, which is going to be got a little stressful, but it's fun. And that also means I won't be able to heart as many comments, so I'll do my best. Anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, so Tommy's just like, okay, Sam, like, no worries, bro. Like, it's still cool. I'm having a good time. Yeah, it's a little weird, like, that your sister is unironically stalking me, but that's cool. Like, it is what it is. Like, you're a cool dude. I'm having a good time. And Tommy's like, okay, I feel weird for you, bro. Like, I just feel weird for you. Let's go inside. Let's just like, I don't know, let's like throw on some YouTube or something. Maybe watch a movie. I don't really know. Let's just go inside. So they go inside, right? And they're in the kitchen. He's like, yo, do you want anything? And Sam's kind of Tommy's a little thirsty, man. And he's like, actually, yes, Sam, I could do with a glass of water if that's cool. And Sam's like, yeah, no, of course that's cool, bro. Don't worry about it. So he gets him a glass of water, and and Tommy's just kind of like sipping away on it, and then Sam's like, hey, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go set up like the TV. It's upstairs. It just takes a second. It's kind of annoying, right? So just I'll be back, like, or when you're done, come up. It's just up the stairs to your left. Like, I'm gonna be setting it up. Just come up when you're done with the water. No rush at all. So Sam leaves them, and Tommy's just kind of chilling in the kitchen, looking around. It's a pretty nice kitchen, apparently. There's like, a little like marble tabletop. The cupboards are nice. They're just freshly painted or something. Maybe they're wooden. I'm trying to envision a nice kitchen, right? And he's just chilling, enjoying his water. The refreshing fluids that we all depend on to live, enjoying it, gulping down you get the point. And until he is rudely disturbed. So Natalie walks into the kitchen. She's like, hi. And Tommy's like, hello. And she's like, I have some questions for you. And at this point, Tommy's like, okay. That sounds fine, I guess, right? And Natalie's like, where do you live? Just an epic entry question. Here's the thing. It's totally normal to be like, yo, like, where are you from, right? She doesn't phrase that. She's like, where do you live? Like, what is your address? Where is your location of residence? Can you give me the P.O. box as well? Like, oh my God, chill out. Oh my God. And he's like, I don't live too far from here. Doesn't say exactly where. And she's like, interesting. What is your date of birth? Instead of like, what is your birth? Like, just like, oh, how old are you, right? Like, oh, like, what grade are you in, bro? Like, how old are you? Just normal things you'd ask. She's like, when is your date of birth? What is your mother's maiden? She doesn't ask for mother's maiden name. She's not actually like a super genius criminal, cyber hacker, whatever, who's going to steal his like bank account and buy a Ferrari. No, she's just very interested in the man and is wording her questions a little weird. The guy, the poor Tommy, right? He's weirded out. I mean, this girl's had a history of past behavior that makes her a little strange, to say the least. Anyways, right? He says it. He says, I was born, given birthday, right? And she's like, interesting. And then she says, do you have a girlfriend right now? And he's like, because at this point, he's like, okay, this girl is either into me or she's like about to kidnap me and my family. I'm not 100% sure. But if she is more likely into me than not, right? Maybe I should say yes and she'll stop. Or maybe she'll like hunt me down even farther because like apparently like girls like it when you play hard to get. Before Tommy can even open his mouth to give an answer, which to be honest, he was probably going to stutter because he wasn't even sure what he's going to answer to that question because, oh my God, it's layered, right? Sam walks in and he's like, Nat, because that's like the nickname or whatever for Natalie. Nat, bro, why, sis? Like, what? Like, I heard you, like, I just walked in on you asking these weird questions. Why are you being so weird today, dude? And Natalie's like, I'm not being weird. I'm just asking your friend Tommy some questions. And he's like, no, that's weird. The question was weird. You were looking at him or looking at us. I don't know. That was weird. Today, earlier, when we were playing games, she said, I was just watching you guys play games. And then he's like, okay, but then what about a basketball? And she's like, I was just watching you guys play basketball. When you looked up, I didn't want you guys to feel weird, so I went away. And I'm just asking your friend some questions. He's like, nope, this is weird, Natalie, this is weird. I just want to have some time with my friend. Like, can you go? And she's like, okay, that's fine. And she walks away. At this point, like, Tommy was feeling a little weird, but he was also kind of paying attention. He heard what she said, and he's like, you know what? Maybe, right? Maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe she's just a curious person. Maybe she was actually interested in the game. Maybe she wasn't actually staring at me the whole time, even though I caught her staring at me both times, and then she looked away to pretend like she wasn't staring at me, and then asked me all these very odd and specific questions. No, it's just a coincidence. She must just be, she must be normal, dude. Anyways, right, so yeah, Natalie eventually leaves. Tommy and Sam, They go and watch like a movie. It's a chill show. I don't even know. Maybe they, yeah, you know what? They were watching some regular show. I have no idea what they were watching, but that's a bomb show. And honestly, anyone who does gets my respect. If you watch regular show, plus 10 Connor social credit points or whatever. Anyways, right? So they're done with their day, and Sam's like, Tommy's like, thank you, Sam, bro, for having me over. Like, maybe you can come over to my house. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry about my sister. And Tommy's like, dude, it really is nothing. Like, she was probably just curious. Like, it's really no big deal. He's like, thanks, bro. Like, love to have you over again. And so Tommy was walking back home. He was just thinking about the good time he had. He wasn't even thinking about, the sister who was being a little weird. He wasn't even thinking about Natalie for a second, right? And then he gets a notification on his phone. He looks down, and it's from a number that's not his contacts. And it says, hi. And then after that, he gets another text like 30 seconds later. And there's a text saying, hey, is this Tommy? And Tommy's like, that's a little weird, right? He doesn't think too much of it, but he's like, who's this? And then, he sees the 3 bubbles pop up, and then they go away. And then the 3 bubbles pop up, aka the person is typing. I kind of gave it away. Shoot. The magical person who we don't know, is typing, right? And then after like 2 minutes, he gets a notification because now he's walking. And he's walking for like a couple minutes. He checks his phone, and like 2 minutes ago, he got a text message saying, not saying, with a winky face, and he's like, red flag, red flag, red flag. Anyways, so he's just like weirded out. And then he gets another text message saying, like, hey, cutie, do you have a girlfriend? And it was like, he was like, no shot. No shot this is Natalie. And he doesn't send a text saying, is this Natalie? Because she'd be like, whoever this is, you guys don't know. I definitely didn't spoil it a second ago because I'm an idiot. Whoever's texting, probably if it was Natalie, if it was, right, wouldn't want to spoil it, wouldn't want to give it away. So what he does is he copies the number, he takes a screenshot, and he sends it to, Sam. He's like, yo, is this your sister's number? And he's like, what the, dude, like, what's, like, yes, that's my sister's number. I have it saved. I just checked. Why is she being so weird? I'm going to go talk to her right now. And then he gets a text, and it's like from Sam, and it reads, she claims she has no idea what I'm talking about, but dude, that's her number. I'm so sorry. I don't know why she's being weird. Like, she says it's not her, but it's definitely her, dude. I'm so sorry, right? And he's just right at this point, Tommy's like, okay, that's a little weird, but he's just going about his day. He's living his life. He's having a good time. And as he's kind of strolling down the street, he gets a text message saying, you'll regret that. And he's like, what? Context, please? Anything help? What? Just looking at the message like, so he then he screenshots it, sends it to Sam, and Sam sends him all cap locks like, bro, I don't know what's up with her. So apparently Sam then goes and talks to her again. And at this point, she then confesses, and it's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just thought he was really cute. And Sam's like, this is not how you treat someone who you think is cute. This is also not how you treat my friend. He's a cool dude. He just came over. We're just like all that kind of stuff. And she's like, I'm sorry. I won't talk to him again. And she doesn't. Subscribe if you haven't already, and then watch another story video or you're bad. Bye. Today's story is about the nastiest sister on planet Earth. It gets gross. It gets revolting. It gets, well, let's just say it gets bad. Enjoy. So the subscriber who sent in the story, let's just call the kid Jake, right? Jake. Jake has his friend. Let's call him Finn. Adventure time. Come grab. Anyways, right, so, Finn and Jake were good buddies. And, one day they decided that one of these weekends they wanted to hang out. And they decided they wanted to go on a hike, maybe hang out a little bit afterwards. And, so Jake decides to go over to Finn's house. And Finn has a younger sister, right? Finn has a younger sister. And Finn's younger sister, she isn't really into, like, the whole, stereotypical things that girls might be into at this age. She didn't like playing with Barbie. She didn't like, pink stuff or whatever. Like, kind of like, stereotype of, like, I don't know, girls her age, what they'd be into. But, she was, like, she was really into kind of, like, she was into a lot of, like, stereotypically, like, guy stuff. And she definitely liked, she wanted to, at least in this case, she wanted to kind of, like, prove to the guys, right, Finn and Jake, that she was cool enough to hang out with them and that she liked similar stuff to them or whatever. And so, anyways, right? So Jake and Finn, or Finn and Jake, it just sounds so much better when I say Finn and Jake. I've just heard that so many more times. So Finn and Jake, they go over, or Jake goes over to Finn's house, and they're ready to go on their hike, right? They want to go on a hike. It's Finn lives pretty close to one of the like some kind of like a mountain range ish. Like, it's not huge. This isn't like Mount Everest or something. They don't have to like train for 6 months to go on this little hike, but it's a decent mountain range. There's like some wildlife. It's gonna be fun, right? Anyways, right, so, they get there, and, Jake, he goes over to Finn's house, and, Finn kind of wants to just do this hike with just Jake, right? He kind of just wants to do it just with his friend, but, like, all of the night before, his little sister, who, there's going to be too many names, I'm going to mess them up, so we're just calling Finn's little sister the little sister, okay? Too many names for me to forget, too many names for me to mess up. I'm pretty good at messing stuff up. Anyway, so the entire night before, Finn's little sister was actually talking about how much she wanted to go on this hike. And, Finn's mom was like, all right, Finn, like, I know, like, you just want to go on the hike with Jake, but your little sister would love to come along. And at this point, Finn's like, dude, I don't want my little sister to come along. Like, they weren't necessarily not cool, right? It wasn't like that they were, like, beefing or anything, but sometimes you just want to do something with your friend. I mean, that's totally understandable in my opinion. But Finn's mom was like, okay, like, come on, like, she really wants to go, Finn, like, it'd be so nice if you did. And Finn was like kind of not budging at the time, but eventually, right, Finn's little sister was making enough of like enough of a scene that Finn's like, okay, fine, you can come, but you can't say anything. You can't get in the way of what we want to do, right? And she was like, yeah, whatever, right? So he's kind of bummed about that. But Finn's little sister was really like, okay, I really want to prove to them that I'm cool enough to hang out with them. Because, right, she wanted to come, but she also didn't want to be a nuisance, man. Finn's little sister didn't like that feeling of being a nuisance. So she's like, all right, I got to figure out a way to, like, prove to them that I'm cool. I got to figure out a way to prove to them that, like, I'm with them or whatever. So, she kind of just assumed that, like, guys like gross things. And the thing is, like, Finn and Jake, they definitely like their fair share of, like, oh, dude, that's so gross or whatever. But Finn's little sister decided that it would be her prerogative, that it would be her duty, her goal, her adventure, her whatever, right? To be basically to do the grossest things possible on this hike to entertain them and to prove to them that she was one of them. And let me just say that she really went above and beyond in the worst ways possible, and it got pretty bad. It got pretty bad. Anyways, right, back to the hike. So Jake gets there, and Finn explains to him, like, hey, dude, like, my little sister's coming along with us. And at first, Jake in his head's like, bro, why? But he was like, okay, dude, totally fine. Right, so, Finn, Jake, and Finn's little sister, they all, they gear up, they get ready to go on the hike. I think, they bring a backpack with them. I think, like, Finn or Jake has it. It has, like, a lunch packed in there. It has some water bottles. It has, like, some sunscreen. It has some bug repellent. Has the classic Bitcoin mining machine because, they got to be on that grind 24/7, baby. Let's go. Get that bread, baby. Let's go. Anyways, on the walk, right, they're hiking up the trail. They just started it. It's a nice day. They're having a good time, man. Like, the weather's nice. It's not too buggy. They're climbing up. They're seeing some cool stuff. And on the way up, right, there's some cobwebs. There's some cobwebs by the side of like a tree or something. And this is the point where, Finn's little sister is like, all right, here's my first opportunity to prove to them that I'm cool, that I'm one of them, that, this is not a mistake to bring me along. And she's like, guys, look at these cobwebs, man. Like, look at this spider, man. And they all kind of like turn around like, oh, okay, yeah, this little spider, like, ooh, whatever, right? And Finn wasn't a big fan of, or Jake wasn't a big fan of spiders, but, whatever. He was like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, look at that spider. And then Finn's little sister's like, watch me do this, guys. At this point, they're kind of like, what? Like, what is she about to do, man? Like, watch you do what? What are we watching you do? And they watch her. They watch her go pick up this spider with their hands, and they're like, okay, dude, like, keep that thing away from us, man. Like, keep that thing a good distance, man. Like, keep that thing away from us. Because, like, they weren't a fan of spiders, bro. Like, they didn't, like, especially, like, okay, so, like, Finn was okay, but Jake was definitely not a big fan. Jake took, like, 17 steps back, just, like, rapid fire, boom, boom, boom. But he's like, no, I'm good, bro. And she's like, watch me do this. And then she sticks out her tongue, and Finn, who's starting to realize, like, what his little sister's about to do, is like, what are you doing there, little sis? Like, what are you doing there? And she's like, watch this. And she sticks out her tongue, drops the spider on her tongue, chews. And at this point, like, Jake's about to gag, bro. He's like, like he just can't handle it, man. I mean, and she's like, it's the grossest thing ever. And at this point, like, Finn's like, dude, why would you do that? And she's like, delicious. They're just like, oh. You're probably thinking, all right, it can't get worse than that. You guys are very, very wrong. I don't want to tell the rest of the story because I personally really don't like spiders. I used to really not like them when I was like a little kid. I was like really afraid of them. Like if you showed me a photo of a spider, I would be out of the room in like 5 seconds. And I'm not at that level anymore, but I just don't like spiders, man. Like I get it. They eat mosquitoes and stuff I don't like. So like they're cool. We're not boys, but we're cool, right? But dude, I just don't want to. Anyways, I'll tell the story for you guys. I'm doing it for you. Finn's sister was like, oh, we're not done yet, boys. And they're just like, what? Like, what? What do you mean you're not done? There's more damage you can do? Huh? Finn's little sister, she goes back to the spider web. And you know what she grabs? She grabs the spider egg sac. Oh, God. It's just so bad. Anyways, the story's good, though. I have to tell it. And she takes the spider egg sac. And at this point, Jake is like, bro, I'm out of here, dude. I can't do this, man. I can't do, dude. If I was there with Jake, I'd be like, you know what, Jake, let's get out of here, bro. I'm not doing this either. Anyways, right? She takes the spider egg sac and she's like, watch this. I'm not going to go into the details for this one. Personally, it grosses me out a little bit too much. But she does the same thing that she did with the spider. Dude, I can't even. Okay, I'm skipping over the details. Imagine as much as you'd like. I'm not doing that. Point right. Jake is traumatized. Finn is just in disbelief, and Finn's little sister has this big old grin on her face because she's like, finally, the boys will accept me, man. The boys will accept me. And so Finn's like, you know what? Let's just keep walking. Let's just finish up this hike. Let's have a good time. And, they decide maybe the best call is to keep going on the trail. So they keep walking, and Finn is scarred. Jake is scarred ×2, and Finn's little sister is just sitting there smugly laughing like, kind of thinking, yeah, I'm now cool with the boys. But Jake and Finn were already kind of cool with her. They didn't really care. Like, she was totally fine on the hike. Yeah, they wanted to do that stuff together because they're just friends, whatever, right? But they didn't care, bro. Like, they didn't need some validation or anything, especially, like, if she's gonna validate herself, there's just so many other ways to do it besides, I'm not even going into it anymore. But here's the thing. She doesn't stop there. She doesn't stop. Today's keyword is spider, so if you made it this far into the video, comment spider in the comment section down below. I'm going to try and heart as many of those comments as I can, just realize I can't get to them all, and I probably only heart like 30%, but I do spend like a good hour or two on my phone hearting comments. So I'll do my best, but no guarantees. But yeah, if you want to get farm as many hearts as possible and maybe get top commenter or whatever, commenting spider in your comment or literally just commenting spider by itself is the best way to do it. Also, it's your lucky day. It's your lucky day because for every single person who leaves a like on this video, this isn't a scam, by the way, you will be getting your very own nothing. Your nothing will magically appear right after you leave a like on this video. So yeah, 5,000 likes and I'll do an eyelash reveal. I'll actually reveal my eyelash at 5,000 likes, no joke. Anyways, right at this point, Finn and Jake completely scarred, Finn's little sister laughing away, and they just keep going on their hike. And at this point, Jake, he's just kind of ready to go home. He's seen enough for like 2 lifetimes at this point. He's kind of done. He's kind of ready. He's kind of at that point. And, they're wrapping up and, they get to the top of the mountain or whatever. And there's a bit of like a field. There's a bit like not a field, but like a pasture type thing. Not a pasture. Actually, I'm lying again. Oh my God, I suck at this. There's kind of like a field. I was right the first time. And, in this field, it's a lot of grass and like plants and like some trees around the edges. And it's just like, it's nice out. It's warm. It's just kind of a nice moment for all of them. Well, it was a nice moment before Finn's little sister decided to make it a little bit less of a nice moment. You guys will see in 1 second. Finn's little sister, you know what she finds? She finds a pile of excrement, defecation. I don't know, dude. This is from some animal, right? She finds some like, some doo-doo from an animal. Yeah. And she finds it, she's like, LOL, look at this. And they're all like, aha, aha, aha. They were terrified, man. Because the last time she said, look at this, it was the spider. So they were in just like complete fear. And then Finn's little sister takes her foot, which is, in a shoe or whatever, and just stomps it in the pile. And Finn's like, why would you do that? Like, why? What is your incentive? What is your motivation? Why would you do that? Oh my God. And she looks at them and she's like, do you want to lick it? And they're like, what the fuck? What? And she like lifts up her boot, which is now covered in all this stuff. She's like, do you want to lick it? Did you hear me? Do you want to lick it? They're just looking at her like, no, no, we're good. What? And she's like, if you're not going to lick it, I'm going to lick it. And at this point, Finn's like, no, you are not. You are not about to do that. And unfortunately, she takes that as like a challenge. So she takes off her boot, brings it up to her mouth, and Finn's like, no, you do not want to do that. You do not want to do that. Oh my God, you do not want to, please. Their despair, despite their pleading, despite their cries and terror and pain and fear, she ends up licking her boot. And at this point, Jake's like, all right, this is a good time to wrap it up, man. I think this is a good time to go. This is a good time to just wrap things up, if you know what I mean. I think it's time. Okay. Finn, it is time for us to go, Finn, it is time for us to go. And Finn's like, yep, it is time for us to go. And Finn's little sister is just like laughing or whatever. As disgusting as that was, she somehow was like, all right, you know what? Now I'm accepted by the guys. At this point, right, they're all walking down and they're kind of at this point, right, Jake is kind of speed walking. Finn is like, what happened today? And at one point, like 10 minutes on their walk down, they're not talking that much. But Finn's little sister, right, she comes up to Finn and she's like, hey, Finn, I'm not feeling so good. And Finn is like, oh, really? You're not feeling good? But then Finn's little sister's like, I'm really not feeling good, Finn. I'm really not feeling good. And Finn's like, shoot, like God damn, of course you're not feeling good. And he's like, okay, let's go. And they get in the car. And at this point, she's like, Finn, I'm really not feeling good. And he's like, oh, God. And so what Finn does is, Finn brings them back. And Finn kind of like says, hey, mom, can we talk for a second? At this point, Finn's little sister went upstairs to go lay down. Finn explains everything that happened, saying that it was kind of out of his control and like he has no idea why she did that. And Finn's mom is like, oh my God, okay, she's not feeling good. Let's take her to the hospital, right? So Jake didn't go to the hospital with them. Jake was picked up by his mom. And Jake was the one who sent in the story, right? You can send in stories too to my Instagram in the description. But basically, right, Finn told Jake what happened the next day. So apparently what happened after Jake left was that Finn's little sister, and Finn's mom, they all drove to the hospital. And when they got there, the doctor was like, ooh, there's a lot of bad stuff going on down here. And they basically like gave her some antibiotic or something, and it kind of like cleaned up the whole situation. But believe it or not, there's a reason why you don't do the things that Finn's little sister did. There's a reason. It's called You'll Get Super Sick. Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go watch another video. Click on one of the videos on screen. Dude, I'll actually cry if you don't.
Today's story is about a subscriber who got with his best friend's sister. Today's story is a little bit more interesting because usually in the stories, the subscriber is kind of the good guy of the story. But obviously in this case, it's a little bit less clear. So yeah, sit back, relax, maybe grab something to drink, maybe something to eat. And yeah, let's enjoy the story. So the subscriber, let's call this guy Logan, right? And Logan had a friend, and his friend is, let's call him Owen, right? So Logan and Owen, they've been friends for a long time, right? They weren't like, I don't think that they were friends for like 20 years or 10 plus years or something, but they were like very decent friends for several years at this point. And Owen also had a sister, and Owen's sister's name was Jess, and obviously Jess is pretty integral to the story, if you can tell by the title. But anyways, right, kind of like Logan and Jess had a long history of being kind of like friendly and a little bit flirty with each other. And when I mean a little bit flirty, I mean they're not like, oh my God, I want to hold your hand platonically. That's what I was going to say before I cut myself off because I wanted advertisements on this video because I liked money. Hold your hand. They weren't like going around like, you're so cute today. Something like cringe like that. No, they were just like, it was just like a little bit flirty. I don't know 100% how to explain it, but I'm sure you guys have like been in situations where you like,
you've just gotten the vibe. You know what I'm talking about, right? But obviously, right, Jess was Logan's best friend's sister. So it was not like very obvious to, obviously there's some tension there. There's a little bit of tension of like, Logan just like will absolutely be breaking bro code like 100%. Here's the thing, right? It really depends on the person. They're definitely, look, I know some guys who would not care. I mean, they say that. I don't totally believe it, but whatever, right? There are people that will openly say that they don't care. But here's the thing, guys. Phyllis, sit down, learn a little life advice, right? Most cases, people will care. They will care a lot. And especially like in this situation, like Owen was definitely the kid that it would be 100% breaking bro code for Logan to get with his sister. Like 100%. I think that there's very few people out there that would be any bit chill with it. Owen was definitely not one of those like 3 people on planet Earth who would be okay with it, right? He was not one of those 3 individuals. Anyways, right, so this whole story, this whole situation, as I'll put it, this whole event occurred one night when Logan and Owen decided to have kind of like a big sleepover get-together thing, like over on the weekend, right? Anyways, it's a normal weekend, and Logan goes over to Owen's house. Anyways, right, so it all started out when Logan and Owen were just sitting on the couch, playing some Xbox, catching up. I think it'd been like a second since they seen each other, but by that I mean maybe like a couple weeks. I don't 100% no context. They might have still been in high school. Maybe they're in middle. Dude, I don't know how old they were, but for some reason they had been like apart from each other for just a little bit, and they decided to do a little bit of catching up, see each other over in the weekend. So they're sitting on the couch playing some Xbox, having a good time. Man, things were looking good. And, in the background, right, one of them had their Bitcoin miners running. They were getting bread. They were getting paid. They were getting $100 million every single minute, and it was a wonderful time of day. It's a time to be alive. Anyways, right, so Logan and Owen, they're sitting there playing some Xbox or whatever, right? They're having a good time. And then Owen's sister, Jess, she walks down and she's like, "Oh, Logan, it's been so long. It's been a long time since I've seen you. It's been so hard not seeing you. It's been such a long..." I'm sorry. I'll shut up now. I'm sorry. So, right, anyways, Logan and Jess, they just start talking a lot, right? Logan, the subscriber, by the way, to remind you. Logan, the subscriber, Owen's the friend, Jess, the sister. But yeah, like Logan went and the Jess, they were really hitting it off. They were talking a lot. And while it wasn't like overtly flirty, they weren't like talking about, I don't know, they weren't asking for certain measurements of body parts or anything weird like that. But they were like definitely, what the fuck? No, but they were definitely, like, going at it, talking with each other, like, they were definitely, like, and it was for, like, 30 minutes, too. It was a long time. They were talking about school, life, relationships, everything like that. And at one point, right, Jess even brings up, like, she asks, like, Logan, like, "Oh, like, are you in a relationship or anything? Do you have a girlfriend? Like, how's it going with that?" And Logan's like, "No, actually, I'm on the market right now." And it was kind of this weird moment where even I feel like, even Owen was, like, kind of looked over, like, "Pause, bro, what?" No. But it was like, it wasn't anything too strange. And at least Owen didn't suspect anything at this point. And yeah, so Logan and, Jess were kind of talking. And, Logan didn't ask anything like as overtly strange as like what Jess asked. Because that was pretty blatant, if I'm being honest. Like that was a little bit suspect when it comes to questions. But, he did, they were talking, things were pretty good. And Logan and Owen were going to go out to dinner, and they were going to go to this restaurant. And Owen's like, "Hey, like you and Logan seem to be hitting it off well. Do you want to come out and, eat with us?" Obviously, right, dude wasn't trying to like set up his actual sister, right? He wasn't trying to set up his actual sister with his best friend. He just thought that they were cool. And he was like, "Oh, like whatever, do you want to come with us? Like you guys obviously seem to be very friendly." They were very friendly indeed, Owen. I mean, yeah, Owen. So yeah, so they all go to dinner. I don't know, it's maybe like a steakhouse or something, like one of those really good, restaurants or something. I like steakhouses. Very solid. Get it medium rare. Get some fries. I don't know what I'm going off on that tangent. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, so they're at the steakhouse, right? And they're talking. And, so it's kind of like one of those round... It's not like a table. It's not a table. It's like a booth. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So it's one of those kind of like round booths. And it goes Logan, Jess, and then Owen on the other side, right? So Logan and like Jess are sitting kind of like next to each other in a sense, but they're sitting together in this kind of like round booth or whatever. And they're still talking, man. Like Owen and like I mean not Owen, Jess and Logan, like they're still talking, man. They're still going off. They're still asking each other. If anything, bro, like Owen starts going on his phone. I mean, Logan isn't even talking to him anymore, dude. Like Owen is actually at the point where he'll go on his phone a little bit. He'll check the menu. He'll kind of look around. And at one point, right, Owen's like, dude, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and go wash my hands, whatever, right? And that's where things got weird. That's when Jess kind of looks at Logan. She's like, "You really don't have a girlfriend?" And he's like, "Yeah, like it's been a little tough, like unlucky, been off the market, haven't been on my game." She's like, "Oh, that surprises me. Like, you're a very good looking guy. Like, I would expect you to. Like, okay, major red flag alert or whatever." And like, here's the thing, dude. Logan was definitely feeling some kind of way as well. But dude, you can't just like, because imagine, right, that, first of all, like Logan, like imagine he made a move. And imagine he read, okay, first of all, if you make a move anyway, there are a ton of complications, a ton of like issues with that. But anyways, imagine he makes a move or he made a move and he completely read the room wrong. How would Jess would have 100% told Owen about it, and then that would have been a very awkward situation. Like, he's his ride. Owen's his actual ride. He probably would have left him at the steakhouse or something. Right, so even though Logan was feeling some kind of way, he didn't want to do anything, man. There's so many like downsides to that situation. So he's sitting there, and then like Jess, dude, like he's sitting there, and she like reaches out and like strokes his leg, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Like, look, first of all, like, don't do that to random people. Obviously, you don't know what they're thinking. Blah blah. Yeah, disclaimer, whatever, dude. What I'm just telling a story, man. Anyways, she like strokes his leg, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Because here's the thing, like, total, like, it had always been like his kind of like his dark, like his secret little fantasy that like his good friend. He's like, "Yeah, his sister's pretty hot, right? But like I couldn't do it, man. I could never do it. And also she'd never want to do anything with me, man. Like that's crazy, right?" And then all of a sudden, right, it was all like coming true. It was all coming to fruition for this kid, right? And Logan sitting there like, "Oh man, oh no." So he kind of just like and the thing is, right, before like Logan was able to actually like respond and give her like an affirmative or a negative or like lean in or lean out or I don't know, panic and start mining Bitcoin or something. But the thing is, like, the problem was Owen, like, he was like walking back from the bathroom. And here's the thing, Jess also knows that Owen would be mad at her too for trying to like get with his friend, right? Like that's definitely something he had off limits too. So she quickly like grabbed her hand away and she stood up straight. She didn't do anything that weird. She wasn't like, "Hello brother, I wasn't doing anything weird with your friend." Anyways, right, so Logan is just sitting there. And, Owen got back, and, like, as Owen got back from the bathroom, like, their food came, the waiter came with, like, all their steaks and all that good stuff, and Logan's just sitting there, like, oh, my God, like, so much is going through this kid's mind at this point, right? So much is going through his mind, because there's, like, he's sitting there, he's like, secret, dark, evil fantasy, but also something I've definitely wanted to do for a long time, might actually come true. However, there are huge implications, man. Like, if Owen ever finds out, he might actually jump me, bro. I might not make it through the day. Like, if I do this, do I have to like write a letter to my parents if I don't make it? Like, do I have to sign a will? Should I buy a life insurance policy on myself in my mom's name? Or is that going to make her look like the whole thing was framed? Like, oh my God, what do I do? So he's just kind of sitting there, and there's a lot of tension now between like Logan and Jess. Like, they're just kind of looking at each other like, and Owen picks up on it a little bit. He's like, "What? Like, what'd I do?" And they're like, "No, what are you talking about?" He's like, "I don't know, it's weird now." Because, like, I don't know, Owen kind of thought, like, maybe they, like, talked about him when he went to the bathroom or something. Turns out it was, like, significantly worse. He had no idea, though. But anyways, right, so they eventually go back home, and things are normal. It's not really that weird. I mean, it is a little weird because, Owen's older sister, I don't know, actually, her relationship, but Owen's sister, hopefully not, like, much younger sister, or this story would be a lot worse. We'll say older sister, right? I mean, the whole thing about Owen's older sister actually grabbing Logan's leg and having weird anyways, right? No, other than that, totally normal. But anyways, right, they got back, and, the plan is to watch a movie, and all three of them were good, because, they were having a good time together, quote-unquote, a good time. All I can say is Logan and Jess were definitely having a time together. It wasn't necessarily good. It definitely wasn't bad. It was just a lot. But anyways, right, so the plan was for all three of them to watch a movie together, right? That's totally fine. Like, what can really happen? Logan was thinking to himself, like, this is a dangerous zone I'm in, right? But he's like, you know what? As long as Owen is here, that's gonna keep me true. That's gonna keep me like, no, like, that's fine. I won't do anything crazy or that I'd regret as long as Owen is here. And it's like, as he was like in the middle of that thought, Owen's like, hey, bro, I'm so sorry. I had hockey practice today. I've had it all week. I'm complete. I can't open my eyes anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed, but obviously, like, you and Jess, totally feel free to watch this movie. I've seen this movie before. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, yeah, I'll be going to bed. Like, you can do what you want, but, like, I'm sure, like, Jess will probably want to watch it. So, yeah, feel free to stay down here. I'm going to bed. Peace. Packs up his stuff, goes upstairs. At this point, Logan's like, oh boy. Speaking of movies, today's secret word of the day is movie. So if you made it this far into the video, comment movie in the comment section down below. I'm going to try and heart as many of those as I can. I mean, I'm in the middle of school right now, and, I'm trying to still have a life too. So I can't heart all of them, but I will heart I spend like at least an hour every day trying to like heart as many things as I can. So if you want to farm some hearts on the channel and maybe get top commenter or something, best way to do that is by commenting the secret word, which today is movie. And today, man, today, it's your lucky day. It might be your luckiest day of your entire life, dude. Because every single person who leaves a like on today's video will actually receive nothing at their doorstep. Like, I'm not even kidding you, dude. Leave a like on this video right now. Go ahead and do it. And in 2 to 3 business days, or however long it takes Amazon to ship nothing, you will receive nothing at your door. No need to thank me. I know you're tearing up at the generosity, but just leave a like. Trust me, it'll be great. Not a scam at all. Anyways, right at this point, Logan and Jess, they're both sitting on the couch. And it was originally Owen sitting in between the two of them, which, Logan was like, okay, phew, like, no way I can make a mistake now. But, Owen was tired. He had hockey practice. He went to bed. At this point, right, the movie was playing. But Logan he was not paying a lick of attention to the movie at this point. He had no idea. It could have been like a 5-hour long anime uncut. I don't even know, dude. Like, it could honestly be like anything on the screen. Logan wouldn't have known. It could have been like static and he wouldn't have known. Because he was just like zoning out. So just like, oh my, thinking deep in thought, like, should I make a move? I mean, if she makes a move, will I say yes? Can I say yes? I mean, Owen's my friend, dude. Like, oh my god, but like, just kind of bad though. LOL. Like that guy was like, I mean, and honestly, like, you might be thinking like, oh my god, Connor, if I was in that situation, I would never do anything like that. I am morally superior. Like, I have some decency. And, maybe not, but like, hey man, I don't think you will be in this situation. That's not disrespect, right? I don't think I will ever be. This is a very unique situation is what I'm trying to say. And, it's almost like looking at history and being like, oh my god, they're so stupid. I would have obviously done this or whatever. It's like, yeah, in 2020 hindsight, yeah, it's very clear. But actually, no, this is a little more clear than like that example. That was kind of a crap example. Yeah, this is, anyways, I'm just going to tell you what happens. Because he makes a choice, and whether you agree with it or not, I can't really do anything about that, dude. I'm sorry. Anyways, while Logan was in the middle of this moral contradiction, this kind of fight with his inner self, right? He kind of snapped back into reality, or he more faded back into reality, and he noticed that, remember, in the very, a little while ago, it went Logan, Owen, and Jess, and then, Owen left. But that meant that Jess was on the other side of the couch. When Logan snapped back to reality, Jess was, right next to him, dude. Like, she had moved. She had migrated. Everyone, at this point, Logan was like, okay. It's either, we all know it's going down, right? We all know it's going down, baby. We already know. But anyways, Logan was like, oh, my God, dude. And at that point, he had to make a choice. And yeah, Logan was just like, oh my God, like, I understand the implications of this. And he's like, okay, I think I've made a choice, man. I think I've made a choice. So Logan, like, very classic move. Probably one of the, probably this move was like carved into those stone tablets that the cavemen used to carve their writing into or whatever. It is that classic of a move, right? He's going for the stretch, the stretch. He lifts his arm up and he puts it up, above, on top of the couch seat, above where she was. You've seen it 100,000 times before. You already know it's going down. Right, so at this point, Logan's feeling all sorts of things. There's blood rushing to all parts of his body. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm not going to go into details. If you want details, there's plenty of details on different websites. This is not the website you came for details like this, okay? I'm not going to go into details. That's awkward. I want lots and lots of advertisements on this video. Probably won't even get anything. It's January in the first place. YouTube doesn't pay you in January. So shout out channel members again, by the way. Love you. Big kisses from me. Anyways, right, so things go down, things happen, leave it to your imagination. Yes, they went together in on a Bitcoin mining gig and they did anything that would be unacceptable. Nope, it was a nice holding hands at the... No, you know what I mean. Okay, so they definitely did something and I'm not going to go into the details on it. Your dirty, disgusting, vile imaginations can come up with whatever revolting fantasy you want, okay? Go at it, kids, go at it. What the fuck? Anyways, right, so... whatever happens, happens. And Jess is like, all right, I think I'm going to go to bed. See you tomorrow. And Logan's just sitting there on the couch like, what did I just do, dude? What did I do? Because he knows that this is like straight up betrayal. He knows that this is like, Owen would not be okay with this dude. Because it's not like Owen's like, he's unaware and it's like, could play like the ignorance card. Like, Owen is definitely one of those kids. I don't know if he blatantly said like that would, I think he never thought he had to say anything about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, Logan knew for a fact that, he has committed a massive betrayal to his friend. And that's why this story is a more of an interesting one, because normally the subscribers like, oh my God, the subscriber got screwed over by this girl, like she sucks, or the teacher is the worst, the subscriber's the good guy. No, this is like, maybe the subscriber isn't the good guy in this one. Like, shout out to the guy for sending me this story, because it's like interesting, but it's like, oh my God, like not a clear-cut case, man. And he's kind of just sitting there. And he doesn't go to bed for a while because he's like, was that worth it? Like, was that actually worth it, man? Like, oh my God. And here's the deal. Logan never told Owen. And Jess also never told Owen. And Logan and Owen are still friends to this day. But the thing is, like, Logan has, like, always kind of been felt guilty about it. And he was like, he said he wanted, like, his story to be told. He wanted to tell someone. He wanted people to, like, see it without actually having to tell anyone. So, yeah, not even joking. The story ends. The story's still going, man. Like, this is part of the story, dude. Owen still to this day has no idea. And obviously, I've changed enough details and I've used fake names that probably Owen, even if he saw this video, it would be different. He wouldn't know. But anyways, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And also now go watch another video. Like, click on one of the videos on screen. Why have you not clicked on one of the videos, Today's story involved the subscriber's friend's younger sister who was a little bit too interested in him and tried to go a little bit beyond a nice, friendly relationship. And I don't want to spoil anything, but things got a little strange. You guys are sending me in very interesting stories, and trust me, they're fun to tell, and you guys enjoy listening to them. But dude, I'm reading over these things, I'm just like, what the fuck? So the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Zane. I literally just nabbed that name from a comment. So if you want your name or your friend's name or some random name to be in the videos, leave a comment down below just telling me the name you want. So anyways, right, the subscriber who sent in this story, his name is Zane. And we're going to call his friend Ben, because that's a name I use like every single day. Anyways, right, so Zane and Ben, they're good friends. And they're both like, I think they're second or third year into college. They both ended up going to like the same college, which is pretty cool. And so they stayed really close friends. And anyways, they were both back for the summer. And Ben still lived with his parents. Zane had like an apartment somewhere, but it was kind of like not the greatest apartment because obviously you're in college, you're not making a ton of money. I think he worked as like, I don't know, a barista or a cashier or something like that. Kind of like more of a, a lot of college, like a classic college job at that point. And anyways, right, so Ben was like, hey, bro, like, you want to come over? My parents are going to be gone for the entire week, right? And I kind of have the house to myself. You just want to chill, maybe play some games, maybe have some high school friends over. And of course, like Zane was like, dude, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. But anyways, right, Ben was like, hey, by the way, like my sister, my younger sister, you've probably seen her a couple times, right? Who's also in college. This is not a weird story. She's also in college, but like freshman in college, whatever. And we're going to call her Luna, not the Storytime channel that I love and kind of have inspired this channel off of. Not that Luna, but Luna's a pretty classic girl's name, apparently. And that was also a common suggestion. So she's like, so Ben is like, hey, my younger sister Luna's going to be here. The problem is during the story, whenever I say Luna, I'm going to think of Austin from, the Luna Storytime channel. But yeah, my younger sister Luna's going to be here. So you can't stay like every day because she wants to have people over too. But she won't mind, like, as long as you don't mind her being here, you can stay for a couple of days. And obviously, Zane's like, bro, I don't care. Like, I want to see you, and I'm sure she's cool or whatever. So yeah, Zane was pretty hyped, dude. He was finishing up. It was like a Friday night, and he was going to go there Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then probably leave. But he was finishing up his shift at, let's just say, Starbucks. I love Starbucks, bro. They're so nice. Anyways, he's finishing up his shift at Starbucks, and he's just thinking about the week and how excited he was going to be. And he had literally no idea what was about to go down, which was, quite a situation. Anyways, right, so Zane finishes up his shift, he gets in his car, and he goes over to Ben's house. Drives into the driveway, he walks out, and it's kind of like, he hasn't been to Ben's house in a second. Yeah, he goes to college with Ben. I think he rooms with him too, but like, whatever. He hasn't been to Ben's house in a long time. And they were boys back in the day, so like all the memories come flooding back. I recently, like over the summer, went to my friend's house that I haven't seen in like years. And it was just like, I just remember like flashback 6th grade, 7th grade, sleepover, staying up till like 1 a.m. because that was like crazy back in the day. Like playing, I don't know, Minecraft on my iPad, bro. Like it just all came back to me. And a bit of a tangent, but that's just like a solid experience. Anyways, comes back to his friend's house and he's just hyped. He's just feeling good. And Ben walks out. He's like, hey, what's good, bro? He goes up, daps him up, whatever. They walk inside. And yeah, so they're walking in there and Ben's like, bro, we're gonna have a great couple days. Like nothing really, tonight's gonna be chill. I think tomorrow might be chill too. And yeah, I think some friends might be coming over Sunday night, maybe Monday. I don't totally know. It's kind of up to them since, I got it. So it's summertime. Ben didn't necessarily have a job at this point. And Zane got kind of the week off anyways from his job. It just kind of like it worked out like that. Or he just wasn't scheduled to go on that week. I don't know exactly how, but for some reason he had the week off too. So they're like, yeah, it's more up to our friends when they want to come. But yeah, this is going to be a cool week. And anyways, right, when that was said, Luna, the younger sister, not the Storytime channel, love you, Luna, if you're actually listening to this. Austin, we gotta hang out someday, bro. Anyways, not fangirling. Come on, Connor. Keep it together in a video. Anyways, right, Luna walks down. She's like, oh, hi. Like, hi, Zane. I haven't seen you in so long. Like, wow. It's so crazy. I think the last time I saw you, like, I was like a freshman in high school. Now I'm a freshman in college. And like, how's college going for you? And they have their standard conversation of how's college? Like, how's life? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in your free time? And Zane was like making some music at the time, not because he's the actual super famous, musician named Zane, but just happened to be his name, and he made some music. So told her about that. She's like, oh, that's so cool, whatever, etc., like that. And yeah, life was just good. Anyways, so it was kind of late by the time that Zane went over there. It's probably like 7, 8, and they already ate beforehand. So the plan was just to like kind of like sit on their couch or whatever, chill, watch some movies. Luna went up to just like go chill in her room or whatever, do kind of whatever she was doing. And at this point, they were just watching some movies, just hanging out, talking about stuff on their phones. It wasn't like an active movie watching. It was like the movie was on in the background. They had both seen. It was kind of like they were like on their phones. They're talking to each other. They're just like doing stuff. It was just like a solid night. They were just having a good time, right? So anyways, right, Ben is like, hey, bro, I'm going to go to bed. If you're not tired, just, I can stay up here for a second, but, just come up when you're done. Because there was like a guest bedroom on the second floor. It was like Luna's bedroom, Ben's bathroom, a bedroom, the bathroom, and then also a guest bedroom like on that same floor. So, Zane was like, all right, bro, I'll see you up there then. And, he's just chilling on the bed, watching some TV, and he gets a Snapchat from Luna. He hasn't like gotten a Snapchat from Luna probably ever. He had her added like a couple years ago because like he doesn't remember why, but probably for like communication or something because he was hanging out with Ben a lot at that time, and still is, but was a lot at that time too. So he gets a Snapchat from Luna and isn't totally sure. Like he's like, oh okay, whatever. Like, is this like a chat or something? Does she need me to get something? But no, it's just like a normal snap, and he opens it, and obviously when someone sends you a snap, like that's not even that big of a deal. I remember in middle school, I used to be like, oh my god, a girl sent me a snap, man. She wants me. No, it's not the case, bro. Just like, okay. She sent him a snap, but it was like she was obviously trying, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like if you're trying to look good in a Snapchat, I even do that when I send it to like random people that I'm just decently friends with. I'm not trying to send them like looking totally ugly. Like I don't know, sometimes I just try a little bit just because I don't have a lot of snaps, bro. No one snaps me, dude. Anyway, so he gets a snap from her, and she's kind of just, like, trying to look decent in it, which, like, doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. The only reason I'm even adding this in is because it's, like, a precursor of what's to come. And, Zayn didn't really think anything of it. He just kind of snapped her back casually, and she, like, opened it and replied within, like, seconds. And the thing is, some people just have an insanely crazy snap score where they just snap everyone all the time. I'm never on Snapchat. So, like, he just kind of thought that that's, like, how she used the app, because some people just use it more aggressively than others. Like me, I'd never use it. Like even if I'm like into someone, I won't reply for like a day because I just don't even think about it, dude. But anyways, right, he just kind of like brushed it off, assumed that she was just kind of like aggressive with that stuff. And obviously, like if that was the only thing that happened, he wouldn't even remember that. The only reason he remembered that detail is because of what happened next. Anyways, right, so the next day is when stuff really does go down, when stuff gets awkward, when stuff gets really weird and uncomfortable, and what made it like story time enough for me to actually tell it on the channel. Anyways, right, so the next day rolls around, and, Ben's like, hey, man, I gotta go out and get some food for the week. Do you want anything? Zayn's like, nah, bro, you're good. Just get stuff we'll like. And he's like, Luna, do you want anything? Luna's like, no, I'm good. I kind of have everything I want. So, yeah, Ben says, hey, I'll be back in, like, 2 hours because I'll make some other stops, too. Just feel free to just, like, hang out here. Obviously, like, Zayn, you can go out and do stuff if you'd like to. I'm not gonna freak out if you're not back when I'm here. But, yeah, I'll be gone for 2 hours. And Zayn's like, all right. Probably gonna chill here. Got nothing better really to do. So yeah, Zayn goes over, just sits on the couch, just like is on his phone, just like looking at TikTok or something. Speaking of TikTok, you should follow my TikTok. It's Connor Pugs. I think it's in the description of videos now. I post my stories on there too. Anyways, right, Zayn is just sitting on the couch. He's just sitting there. And yeah, then all of a sudden Luna also sits on the couch, and it's like a big enough couch that like it's meant for like a bunch of people to sit on. She's like, what's up? And Zayn's like, hey, what's good? Like, how's it going? And he just kind of assumed that she was just like sitting there for the sake of sitting there, because like, whatever, man, like you can sit wherever you want, like no one cares, like that's cool. And all of a sudden, right, she just like scooches up right next to him, and he's like, okay, like she knows that like I'm best friends with her older brother, right? Obviously she's not gonna like do anything or make anything weird, right? And, he's sitting there, and Zayn's sweating a little bit. He's like, okay, what is going on? And he's just intensely looking at his phone, just, like, intensely looking at his TikTok. And then all of a sudden, right, because he only has, like, he doesn't have two hands on his phone when he's looking at TikTok, obviously, right? He has his other hand, like, on the couch, and then all of a sudden he notices, like, Luna is like, her hand like starts moving towards his, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna nip this in the bud. And he just kind of like switches hands with his phones nonchalantly, just to block her from trying to like hold his hand or something, which he wasn't 100% certain that was the case, but following events, which I'm going to tell you in a second, definitely make it the case. But he was like, switches hands with his phones real quick, but keeps it nonchalant. And she tries to play it off too, but obviously like she just got blocked, but she doesn't know that he blocked her on purpose. Anyways, then Luna's like, I'm going to go make something for me to eat. And she gets up and she leaves the couch. And at this point, Zayn's just sitting there like, okay, that was a little weird. I'm like 80% sure she just tried to grab my hand to hold it or something. And she just kind of scooched in. Like, that's a little weird, but I'm going to play it off. I'm just going to think that I'm overreacting, but also just be diligent. And in future, like, once, like, he knew, like, what happened, like, in a couple hours, like, yes, in retrospect, 100% chance he was trying to hold his hand. Anyways, right, Ben gets back, and Zayn is just, like, very, like, relieved, because he's like, okay, Luna's not going to try anything when, the problem was, most likely, he thought was, like, oh, Ben's here, she tried something, but when Ben's here, she's not going to dare try anything, right? Of course, right? Right? Yeah, maybe, buddy. Okay, we'll see. Anyways, right. So Ben gets back. He's like, "Hey, what's up? I got some food." And, Zane goes over. He's like, "Ah, this looks so good." And he's like, "Yeah, I just thought I'd, like, cook something up tonight. I don't know what we do. Probably same as last night." He's like, "I was enjoying that." And then Zane's like, "Yeah, dude, I actually enjoyed that a lot too, because it was genuinely a nice time. Like, they were just vibing." Speaking of vibing, today's secret word is vibe. Yeah, so comment vibe down below if you made it this far. I'm in the process of doing a lot of like projects and schoolwork and building and stuff, so I don't know how many vibe comments I can heart, but I'll do my best to do that. And if I'm going to heart a bunch of comments, they will only be comments to say vibe in them, because I filter by comments now. I filter by keywords, and I look up that word. So yeah, just if you want a heart or something, or a decent chance at one, comment vibe. And also, while you're down there, leave a like. I'll give you nothing. Pretty good deal. Anyways, right, so, Luna comes down for dinner, and it's not awkward at all, because she doesn't, like, think that, like, he avoided her, like, that Zane, like, dodged her attempt to hold his hand. She just thought it was, like, a weird coincidence, and Zane wasn't making anything awkward, and Ben didn't know anything about what was going on, so it was kind of a normal dinner, but eventually they go off to watch, like, TV or whatever, and just be on their phones, and just gonna, like, chill out and do whatever they're gonna do, and Luna just goes upstairs and goes to her room or whatever. So they're just chilling on the couch. And all of a sudden, right, things seem good, and, like, at this point, Zane kind of has his guard down because, I don't know, dude, like, he just thinks, like, nothing weird's gonna happen, that, that was, like, the last weird thing that would have happened. But, yeah, all of a sudden, he's on his phone, and he gets a typing notification from Luna, and he's like, oh, God, like, what is this gonna be now? Because, typing notifications, bro, nothing good follows those. Nothing good ever follows those. Unless it's, like, a where you at, or, like, what you're doing, or something like that. But, yeah, he gets a typing notification from Luna, and he's just like, oh, God, like, okay, where is this gonna go? And he goes into Snapchat, and, I don't know if guys know what a half swipe is, but it's basically when you hold down the chat and swipe a little bit so that you can read the message, but it doesn't show that you read it. Anyways, right, so, Zane goes in and half swipes on the message. And when he half swipes on the message reads, like, hey, Zane, come to my room, winky face. At this point, he's like, what the fuck? So at this point, right, he's like, you know what? I know what to do. And he turns at Ben. He's like, hey, man, like, this is kind of weird, but your sister just sent me this, and I have no idea what it means. And he shows it to Ben, and Ben is just looking at it like, what the fuck? Like, what? And at this point, Ben's like, dude, like, I mean, you can be honest with me, but, like, did you ever have, like, a thing with her or something? And Zane's like, no, I swear to God, I swear in my life, I swear in our friendship, like, I would never do that in the first place to any of my friends. But no, like, the only time we spoke was, like, when she was with you. And, yeah, I'm just a little confused. And, then also Zane's like, you know what, let's just get ahead of this. He's like, oh, yeah, by the way, like, I don't know, she snapped me last night, which I snapped back, but she seemed pretty aggressive snapping back. And then she also came down and sat on the couch when you were gone, and I think she tried to hold my hand, but I just thought nothing of it. I thought I was overreacting, but obviously, with this message, I feel like it seems a little weirder. And Ben's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I just wanted you to come over and chill. Like, I'm sorry you have to deal with this. He's like, okay, I'm not certain. Ben's like, you know what? I'm not certain that, this is what we think it is. But maybe we should do a little investigating. So Ben takes his phone and is like, hey, man, do you mind if I chatter a little bit? And Zane's like, nah, bro, it's good. Because Zane didn't care as long as, like, Ben was going to handle it, right? Because the last thing Zane wanted was Ben to be mad at him or think that he tried to do something, because then that would kind of ruin the week. But, yeah, so Ben took the phone and was like, all right, let's think of something to send her. Let's figure out what she actually wants. And so Ben basically takes the phone and is like, hey, man, I'm going to say something kind of weird. And Zane's like, all right, man, as long as you explain it's you. And he's like, yeah, no, 100%. So what he says, he just goes, like, straight up. He's like, I'm going to say, should I bring candims? I'm saying it weird so YouTube doesn't, like, thunderbolt me, but I'm not going to say it again. He's like, should I bring these? And, he shows the phone to, Zane, and he's like, oh, dude, what the, he's like, and at this point, like, Ben's like, dude, if she says, like, what are you talking about? Or, like, that's weird, I'm gonna, like, explain it's me and send a snap of me. And if she says, yes, come, then I'm gonna go confront her. So either way, you're safe, right? So Zane's like, all right, send it. And Ben sends the message saying if he should bring something. And she literally responds within, like, 30 seconds, yes. And at this point, Ben's like, okay, we're done. And he goes up and he just, like, walks upstairs. He's like, Zane, feel free to stay down here. Like, I don't want to get you involved in this. And so Zane's sitting on the couch, and he watches as his friend Ben walks up the stairs. And then he just hears yelling, like, he couldn't make it out exactly, but it probably went along the lines of, like, why are you trying to like get with my best friend, like hook up with him while he's here? That's so weird. Like, that's my boy. Don't ever do that. I would be pissed at my friends if they try to get with you. It also goes the other way. Like, that's so awkward. And at this point, right, eventually, and it's like more yelling, and you couldn't hear exactly what it was. But yeah, Ben comes back downstairs. He's like, okay, so Luna's packing up. She'll be back in a week. And yeah, sorry about that. So anyways, right, Zane is just awkwardly on the couch as like Luna comes down with like her bag or whatever and goes into the car. And he's just like, and Ben's just like, bro, can we just forget about this? Can we just completely forget about this? And at this point, Zane's like, you know what? Yeah. No. Forget about what, bro? And Ben's like, dude, forget about, oh, I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it. Yeah. So yeah, they had a pretty good rest of their trip. And after that, like, no more distractions, no more issues, no more complications. And besides that kind of bump, it was a pretty good trip. Real quick, I'm launching a Discord server in a week, but I'm dropping a link into the description of this video that will expire in an hour. So some people get early access to the server. You have to be here in the first hour and just click on it right now if you haven't already done so, just to test out the server and stuff and talk to me early on. Anyways, right, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and now go watch another video or I'll cry. I'll be very, very sad. Boo. Today we got a story of a subscriber's friend's sister that does some very, very, very weird stuff. Emphasis on weird. Leave a like to claim your free nothing. Let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber John, and John was friends with this guy who we're going to call Ben, because I call basically every secondary character on this channel Ben. Anyways, right, Ben and John are friends, and one day Ben is like, hey man, do you want to like come over? Because John and Ben were really good like middle school, high school friends. They were friends for a very, very long time. Then they both went off to college, and it was finally summertime, so his friend, John's friend Ben was like, hey man, do you want to come over and like just like catch up or whatever? And yeah, sure enough, John was very excited to go and see his friend, as it had been a while, and he was like, yeah man, of course. So anyways, right, they schedule a day, and sure enough, John drives over, comes over to Ben's house, and they see each other for the first time in a while, and it's pretty cool. They're able to talk about what happens, what's been going down in college, what they've been up to, kind of reminiscing a little bit on the past. It was kind of a good, just like to, a get together again, as it had been a while. Anyways, right, so, Ben and John, I think they're just sitting on the couch playing, like, Xbox or something, playing, like, one of the games they'd always play in high school. Like, John would always come over to Ben's house, and instead of doing work together, they would always just, like, they play, so, like, I don't know, some, like, Call of Duty or something on the Xbox. And so, sure enough, they were playing that game or some game similar to kind of, like, reminisce. And when they were doing that, Ben's sister, my bad. Ben's sister, we're going to call her Lily, yeah. Let's call her Lily for this story. So Lily, walks into the door, and she's like, oh, wow, like, John, it's been so long, like, I haven't seen you in a while. And John sees, like, this look on her face that, like, slowly crept across it over a short period of time. Like, he couldn't exactly figure it out then, but, like, in retrospect, he's like, oh, okay. That look is starting to make a little bit more sense. So, anyways, Lily comes over, and, John and, Ben, they go over, like, and they talk to her, and, John is nice. He asks Lily, oh, how is, like, college doing? Because she had been in college for a couple years at this point. I think she was a junior or something. I don't even know. But she was in college for a couple years at this point. And, he was asking, like, her how it was going. And she was like, oh, it's been great. How's it going with you? And he explained that it was going well. And this is when the first kind of suspicious, kind of like a, hey, yo, type moment happens. So Lily, looks at John and is like, oh, John, have you been working out? And he's like, I guess a little. And Ben kind of has this look on his face like, hey, yo, like, well, huh? Like, oh, okay, I guess, like, fair enough to compliment my friend, but that's a little weird. Like, I don't know where you've been, like, okay, fine, I guess. Anyways, right, Ben kind of brushes this comment off, doesn't really think much about it, and says, yeah, I guess I've been working out a little bit. And, the truth was, he hadn't really been, so that's especially why the comment was, like, extra weird. And at this point, right, Ben was kind of looking at John like, bro, like, I don't know why she said that, like, my fault. But anyways, they kind of just moved on, they moved past it.
Anyways, right, so John and Ben, they kind of just ignore the comment. And anyway, so kind of like flash forward a little bit, towards like the end of the day, since Lily was back from college too, she wanted to meet up with her old friends that still kind of live in the neighborhood as well. So she kind of had like a bit of a house party for some of her friends. And, Lily was like, oh, John, why don't you stay? Because like Ben was going to be there too. And Ben was kind of like, oh, nice. Like, because I don't know, Ben, like, it was fine, hanging out with his sister and her friends, but Ben definitely would have like preferred if John was there. Like that would have just like honestly been more enjoyable. So it was like, oh, okay. And let me just say that if you thought that like the comment earlier was a little bit suspicious, a little bit off, it hits the fan is what I'm trying to say at this party. It hits the fan. Like what like 100,000x what it was like a set like the thing that happened just a second ago at this party is 100,000x when it gets worse. Anyways, right, so Lily's friends come over and, Ben and John, they're kind of just hanging out with each other and, that's fine, whatever, right? And at Lily's party, right, she ends up, just skip forward a little bit and she ends up having a little bit too much apple juice. And when you have way too much, of this adult apple juice beverage, I'm trying to keep ads on this video, you don't always make the greatest decisions ever. And you're also sometimes a bit more bold than usual, if you know what I mean, right? And Lily was about to be a little bit too bold and get herself in trouble, but also make for a pretty good story. Anyways, right, so at that moment, right, Ben and John, they were, just, I don't know, on the couch playing some video games. I think they had, like, pizza for dinner, but for some reason, right, John was a little bit thirsty, man. He needed to get some water. He needed to stay hydrated. He needed to replenish those fluids in his body, right? So anyways, right, John decides to go up and, get some water, which, go up to the kitchen, grab a glass, and when he goes up there, grabs a glass, goes to the sink, starts pouring some water. You know who stumbles in the room, right? Lily stumbles in the room. And she's definitely at a point where, her decision-making process is a bit impaired, to say the least. Like, she's not going to be making the greatest decisions ever known to man. You know who also comes in the room, but also isn't, like, super apparently in the room? Ben. Ben is also thirsty. But, he comes in and he's a little bit more discreet. He kind of just goes to the refrigerator, which is at, like, the far end of the room. And if you're at a point where you're not making the best judgment calls, you might have not noticed that Ben was in the room. But at this point, right, Ben is there, John is there, and Lily's there. And it's about to be quite the experience for Ben and John. Anyways, right, so Lily, looks over at John. She's like, John, I haven't seen you in so long. And John in his head is like, oh, dear God, like, I saw you legitimately, like, 3 hours ago. Actually, no, I saw you, like, an hour ago when you walked by. But I, like, saw you, like, 4 hours ago, and we talked for, like, a good 20 minutes. And then you said that weird comment, like, you better not try anything. Anyways, right, Lily's like, oh, John, it's been such a long time. John's like, it really hasn't, but it's nice to see you again, Lily. It really is. Lily's like, oh, John, do you have, like, a girlfriend at school? You must be so popular with the ladies. At this point, Ben, who's getting like a drink from the fridge, is kind of like paused for a second. He's like, hey, yeah, like my sister, I like my sister better have like better judgment than what I think she's about to do. Like she better have slightly better judgment than what I think she's about to do. Like there's not, anyways, in his head, he's like, no, she's not going to try anything, right? She's not going to try anything on my good friend, on potentially one of my best friends that she knows is my best friends. No way my sister would do anything like that. And anyways, right, Lily's like, oh, John, like, oh, like, because John says, oh, no, I don't have a girlfriend. She's like, oh, John, no, that's crazy. I'm sure all the girls love you. You just got to be more out there. You just got to talk to them a little bit. And Ben is still thinking this is weird. And John, the subscriber, yes, he also finds this very weird, very uncomfortable. Because here's the thing, right? It's not like Lily isn't, like, good-looking girl, right? Yeah, John admits that. However, his loyalty comes first to his friend Ben, and he's got to stay loyal to his friend. Understandable, right? And so anyways, right, you might be thinking that it is escalated to the peak. No. It's about to get much, much, much worse. Anyways, right, as soon as John thinks that the situation has escalated to his, like, the peak as it was going to be, and that, finally it was over, he could just go grab some water, like, he could get his water because he was thirsty, and just go back to gaming with his friend Ben. That's all he wanted to do here. As soon as he thought that he was free, Lily just tries to kiss him. Like, Lily just straight up goes in for the kiss. However, at this point, right, Ben had been like starting to get weirded out. He's like, all right, my sister's like not making the best decisions. She obviously has some like weird thing for my friend. Like, that's very weird, and I don't mess with that, but like whatever. It's just words. However, like Ben could tell that the situation was escalating. So he was like getting closer and closer to like break things up just to like save his friend. And he noticed like Lily kind of like make a shift in her attitude. And he noticed her going for the kiss. And Ben literally went in front, grabbed his sister, got between the two, and he's like, whoa, let's calm down here, Lily. Like, I think you've had way too much apple juice at this point. You got to go sit down. Let's get you some water. Let's get you out of here. And he turns around quickly, he's like, John, I am so sorry. Just go sit. I'll be there in a second. We'll play some more COD. Like, it's gonna be chill. And John's like, you're good, bro. Like, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you saving the day. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate you. So John goes to sit down, like downs his entire glass of water as he's just thinking about what just occurred. Eventually, Ben came and sat next to him. He said, hey, man, I don't even want to talk about it. And John's like, yeah, me neither, man. So they just load up a game and they just play for the rest of the night. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video and then click one of the 4 videos on screen or another one of my videos. Thank you.
Leave a like on this video to receive nothing. No, but what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And just imagine this for a second. You go over to your friend's house, who's a pretty close friend, and you're just over there, you just want to chill. You had a long week. But all of a sudden, his sister just seems to be getting a little bit too close and a little bit too comfortable. And all of a sudden, she tries to make a move, and boom, your friend walks in, and it might be the most awkward situation of your entire life. Thankfully, this has never happened to me, but this did happen to a subscriber, and that will be today's story. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Andrew. So anyways, right, this all happened one day when Andrew went over to his friend's Ben house. We're just going to call his friend Ben. So anyways, he goes over there. They're about, I think they're like 22, 23 at this time. So they're in college, and they go to separate colleges, but they went back home for the summer. They used to be pretty good friends in high school. So, Andrew went over to his house and, they're just kind of chilling because this is the small window of opportunity of time left that they have, to see each other because, after college, when they get full-time jobs, it's going to be even harder to see each other consistently. So they're taking advantage of the time that they have. Anyways, everyone in Ben's household, everyone in Ben's house who is in college came back. So as well, Ben has one other sibling. It is a younger sister who is 19, and she just went to college. Like, this is her first summer back. And yeah, so anyways, these are all the important details. Let's just jump into it. So, Andrew gets over there. He meets up with Ben. It's pretty cool because he hasn't seen the man in a second. And they have like they had like a really good time in high school together. And they're catching up on how college was and like their craziest stories or whatever. And after talking for a little bit, they decide to go sit down on the couch, maybe see if like anything's on and kind of like casually chat with each other. Like, they're not going to like very intensely watch what's going on, but maybe just throw something on in the background as a little white noise or something like that. Yeah, so they sit down, they're on the couch, and that's when Ben hears someone coming down the stairs. And he looks up, and there's this girl that he kind of recognizes and kind of assumes is Ben's sister, who's like a couple years younger. I think she's 19 at this point. Andrew never knew this girl, but he thinks that he's like seen her before. Maybe they met like once or something like that. And this girl comes down. And Ben's like, oh, dude, like, this is my sister. Like, I don't know if you've met her before, but, like, yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's definitely been a second. And she's like, hey, like, it's nice to meet you again, Ben, or Andrew. And Andrew's like, hey, like, nice to meet you too. But here's where things start to get a little strange and a little bit weird, and where, let's just say that Ben might have began to believe that something was a little bit up. So, it's good to make eye contact in a conversation. Definitely, like, when you make eye contact with someone, you're kind of showing that, like, yeah, like, I'm confident, like, I got this, right? But she was making a lot of eye contact with him. She's making a lot of eye contact. Like, she was just looking into the depths of his soul, dude. And she just kept staring. Even when the conversation ended, like, she just kept staring. And, like, Andrew was, like, kind of flickering his eyes back and forth and would occasionally, like, look at her eyes just to see that she was still staring at him. And he's like, okay. And, she says something again. She's like, so, Andrew, like, how's college going?
And it's only been like 3 minutes and things are already about to get pretty weird. So he's like, yeah, college is pretty good. Like my classes haven't been that bad. I'm in a suite with a lot of my friends, so that's pretty cool. And while he's saying this, she makes intense eye contact with him and then she bites her freaking lip, dude. Like she full on bites her lip. And Andrew, in the middle of a sentence, is like, yeah, so I'm in this, it just completely breaks his train of thought because, dude, this girl is literally biting her lip while looking at his soul, and it's his friend's little sister. Nah, this is way too crazy. So Andrew can gets himself. He's like, oh, yeah, college has been good. Like, how was your first year? And she was like, it's been great. Like, I really enjoyed myself. And Ben's like, all right, well, cool. We're going to go back to talking, so if you want to go back upstairs, kind of motions to the little sister that like, hey man, like I'm trying to chill with my friend. She's like, all right, bye guys. She goes up the stairs. And Andrew sits back on the couch and they're kind of just watching what's going on. And in Andrew's mind, he's like, dude, that was freaking weird. Like, I don't know if I'm imagining things. Maybe she's just like really flirty with everyone, but like that was really weird. Obviously, Andrew doesn't say anything because this would be an awkward thing to bring up. But yeah, anyways, so they decide that after a little while, it's a pretty hot day out today, or that day, not today. It's a pretty hot day out that day. Ben had a pool in the backyard. Ben's house is actually pretty sick, but he had a pool in the backyard. And, Andrew did bring his, like, trunks or whatever because, like, he knew it was a hot day. And Ben's like, dude, like, I got a pool. And Andrew's like, yeah, man, I remember. We had a lot of good times in there with, like, water gun fights in, like, sophomore year of high school. So, yeah, he brought his trunks. They go in, they get changed, and they go outside, and they chill in the pool. And it's enjoyable, man. I mean, it's a hot, like, 90-degree day. The water's nice. It's kind of like a warm water, so it's really nice to be in. Like, it was a little cool for, like, the first second, but it was just such a good experience, right? They're just chilling out, right? They got their, they got their drinks by the poolside. They're sitting, enjoying the sun. Whenever it gets too hot, they just hop in the pool. Like, it is a fantastic time that they have going out there. However, right, everything was pretty good. Everything was pretty good until Andrew noticed something. So, since they're guys, they have swim trunks and they're not wearing swim shirts. So, yeah, Andrew is in his swim trunks without his shirt on. And he just happens to look upstairs. He just happens to look at the house, right? And he just happens to look in the second floor window, right? Because, I don't know, he just happens to see that. And who does he see in the second floor window? Dude, he sees Ben's little sister staring at him from the frickin' window, dude. And immediately, I mean, Andrew doesn't stare back. He looks down, but he was kind of forgetting about the really awkward situation that just happened like 2 hours ago. It had completely passed his mind until he saw, the little sister once again staring him down from the window. And then immediately he's like, yeah, no, this is definitely not a coincidence. So he like very awkwardly sits back in the chair. And he's like, okay, no way she's still up there because, like, she knows that I just caught her staring. Like, there's not a chance that she's still up there. So Andrew kind of turns around once again. This time he, like, picks up his phone because his phone is on the ground and he twists all the way around and he looks up just, like, very briefly. She's still in the window. She's still staring down. And he's like, nah, this is too freaking weird. So Andrew's like, hey, man, like, you want to go back inside and, like, hop on your, like, I don't know. They might have had like table tennis or in the basement or something like that. And, Ben's like, yeah, dude, like, sure, it's getting a little hot out here anyways. So they pack up, they go inside. And, so those were some pretty strange experiences. However, the rest of that day was pretty chill. The plan was for Andrew to stay the night, just because, like, throwback, good old sleepover type thing. Maybe he's going to stay a couple days. Who even knows? I mean, Andrew's an adult at this point, I guess. He's like 23 or something. So, they're sitting upstairs, and after having, like, dinner or whatever, it's, like, 9:30, 10, and they're just sitting on the couch again, and they're watching something. And Ben's like, dude, I'm so sorry to say this, but, I barely got any sleep last night because I was an idiot and, like, basically stayed up all night, like, playing video games with my friends. Like, I am exhausted. Like, if you don't mind, I am going to go to sleep now. And you feel free to stay up, though. Like, it's 10. Like, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep on a normal night, like, at 10 right now. So it totally makes sense if you want to stay up, dude. I'm just going to bed now. And Andrew had no problem with this. He's like, all right, man, like, that's cool. I'm just going to stay on here for, maybe an hour or so, maybe a couple hours, just watch some TV. Like, don't worry about it. And Ben's like, once again, sorry. I'm barely able to keep my eyes open. And Andrew did notice that like Ben was like nodding off like half the time. So he's like, yeah, that's cool. Anyways, though, so if Ben gets up, he goes upstairs. So Andrew's just sitting on the couch. Things are pretty normal. Things are pretty okay. He's just watching some TV or whatever. That's when he hears footsteps coming down the stairs, and he kind of thought to himself, well, it's probably Ben. Maybe he's not as tired as he thought. Maybe he needs to, like, ask me something. But no, that's not the case, because this is a pretty big couch. It's big enough, I guess. And Andrew's little sister comes down and sits on the couch. Not Andrew. Ben's little sister comes down and sits on the couch. And Andrew is just like, anyways, guys, we made it this far into the video. The secret word of the day. Let's just make it couch. Let's literally just make it couch. So if you don't know how to spell that, then try and just comment that down below. I'm going to heart as many comments as I can sorry, I can't speak. I'm going to heart as many comments to say couch down below. And real quick, I say this every time, but the best way to support the channel is just binge watch the old videos. So just like when you have nothing better to do or while you're like doing something else, put on my videos in the background. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you're doing while watching my videos in the background. It really does support the channel, so I'll try and like heart and respond to as many comments as I can see that are saying like, oh, I do X or Y while watching a bunch of your videos. Because I really do appreciate it, man. I really do. So yeah, let's get back to the story because obviously things are getting a little bit interesting right here. Anyways, so Andrew's sitting on the couch and he's kind of just like, he kind of like froze up a little bit, but he turns and kind of makes eye contact and smiles and says like, what's up? Because he's not going to be like a weirdo and like not say anything. And Andrew's little sister's like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I was just bored up there. Like, I haven't seen my friends in such a long time. And like, I don't know, just you being over here is cool. Someone to talk to. Sorry, this voice is really bad, but you're going to have to deal with it, dude. You subscribe to this channel. You knew what you were signing on to. Anyway, she's like, so, Andrew, like, how was college for you? Like, do you have like a girlfriend back there? Which, dude, immediate red flag. Like, there's immediately a red flag on that one. I mean, bro, she literally, like, instead of saying, how is school? How is your classes? Who are your friends? Can I see photos? What did you do for spring break? There's a million other things you say, and then you say, oh, do you have a girlfriend, bro? Like, oh, come on now. You might as well just be saying, like, hey, can I see down your pants? Like, that's essentially what you're saying here, dude. But anyways. Andrew's like, I could make up that I have a girlfriend, and that could definitely stunt this. However, Andrew's like, I'm not trying to lie or anything. Like, I'm not trying to get myself into a situation, which in retrospect, Andrew says that he 100,000 trillion% should have lied here, but he didn't. He's like, no, I don't. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just not been like, I haven't been really lucky in that category, but that happens. And yeah, that's when Ben's little sister goes on to say, honestly, me too. It's just, it's something I've really wanted. I really just wanted a connection with a guy. Like, it's been a while. I've just had a lot of bad luck recently. And she just kind of looks at him and gives him this look. And Andrew's like, okay, man. Okay, chill, Andrew. Calm down. Breathe. Breathing exercises. You're good, dude. You're chilling. Don't even sweat about it. And she's like, so, like, if you were to have a girlfriend or just a girl in general, what would you like to see in her? And at this point, she starts to like move closer to him and he's like, hey, yo, bro, no, like this cannot be happening. This is not my best friend, but one of my close friends. Little sis, no, I'm reading this wrong, dude. She understands this can't happen, right? I mean, it's not just me. I'm just not the crazy one here. Has to be both of them, right, dude? Like, right? Like, yes, no? And he's like, I don't really know. Like, I mean, I think I'll know when I see her. And like Andrew's little sister like laughs and is like, so, like, what do you want to watch? And he's like, because he just had like South Park on or something. She's like, let me put something on for you. And here's the thing, dude. The remote was like right next to him. So she really quickly scoots up right next to him and grabs the remote. And Andrew is just sweating buckets right now. Like just big piles of sweat start dripping down his face. Okay, that's more metaphorically. He doesn't sweat like that. But mentally, he was sweating buckets right now. And she's like, like, I'm kind of cold right now. And it was like 70 degrees, dude. It wasn't that freaking cold. But there was like a blanket. She goes over, grabs a blanket, dude. And she's like, while she's sitting right next to him, puts the blanket over both of them. And Andrew's like, oh, hell nah, bro. Oh, hell, like, I'm in a nightmare, dude. I'm in a nightmare. Like, there's no freaking way, dude. And she's like, Andrew, I'm really surprised that you don't have a girlfriend right now. And Andrew's just like, no, dude, like, no, this can't. He's like, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I can't always be lucky, man. Like, and Andrew's just like, this is really, really bad. And she's like, because, I was just really surprised because I thought, you're just like a really nice guy and you're also kind of cute. Like, I knew that's weird for me to say since I'm your... What the fuck am I saying, bro? This story is not okay, dude. This story is not okay, but look, dude, it's a good story. I gotta tell it. She's like, but like, I just wanted you to know that. And after she said that, Andrew's just like tensed up. And she leans in. That was an intentional pause. I just wanted to set the atmosphere. I wanted you to absorb what just happened. She freaking leaned in, dude. She leaned in. And while that is happening, it is the worst timing ever because it just so happened that, Ben, who was asleep, got up because he was thirsty. So he walked downstairs because he wanted to get a glass of water. And while he was walking by the room, which was right next, because like the living room with the TV and the couch or whatever was right next to the kitchen, while he was walking into the kitchen to get a glass of water, that was the exact moment that, his little sister was leaning in to give Andrew a good old little kiss. And they are under the blankets together. It is bad. So immediately Ben's like, what the is happening over here? And like at this point, Ben's little sister turns around and Andrew's like, no way, bro. This is a sting operation. I've been set up. This isn't real life. This is not real life. It can't be, dude. It can't be real life. No way. And he's like, he like walks up and Ben's little sister's like, it's not what you think, Ben. Like, it's not. And he's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Ben's little sister's like, I'm really tired. I'm going to go upstairs. And yeah, that voice is cursed, bro. I'm sorry, guys. Genuinely, I'm sorry. Anyway, she goes upstairs. She doesn't come back. So end of the Ben's little sister voice. That's gone. That's gone for at least another video. And Andrew's just like looking at Ben. And Ben's looking at him. And Ben is not having it. He is really pissed. He's like, dude, you have 5 seconds to explain what just happened there. And he's like, look, I was sitting on the couch. She came down. She was like talking to me a lot. And like, she just like leaned in as soon as you came. I would have obviously said no. And Ben's like, well, then why were you both under a blanket then? Like, that doesn't make sense. You didn't account for this. And like Andrew starts like walking in on Ben and Ben like gets up for a second. He's like, whoa. Let's not do anything too crazy. He's like, dude, I swear nothing happened. And if she tried anything, I would have said no. Like, look, she's been weird the whole day about it. I obviously don't want to like do anything like that. Like, I hope that you believe me on this. And Andrew's like, I don't know who to believe here because all I know is that I went upstairs and when I came down, my sister was under the blankets with you and basically on top of you, dude. That's all I know. And Andrew's like, dude, I know this looks really bad. Trust me. I don't want any of this. I don't want, go up and talk to her right now. And I just go like, I hope she says the truth. Andrew's like, okay. Or Ben's like, okay, all right. I'll see you in 5 minutes then. And he walks upstairs. And Andrew's just sitting there. He is like in the middle of just like he's panicking. He's sweating. He feels sick to his stomach. It's just like the worst situation he's ever been in like his entire life or whatever. And eventually Ben comes back downstairs and Andrew's like, so? And Ben's like, well, I mean, she told me that, that nothing happened and that, yeah, that's all she wanted to say. And Andrew's like, all right, so we're chill then. And Ben's like, yeah. We're good. I'm going to go back to bed. Yeah, so it's Andrew's like, God damn it, dude. Like, is this really real life right now? Really? So yeah, the next day comes around. It's really awkward in the morning. Like, Andrew can't tell if Ben is like super mad or just really tired and like, I don't know, just not saying a lot. But it wasn't super clear, or they didn't make it like super clear beforehand if Andrew's going to stay a couple days or just one. So Andrew kind of makes up an excuse. It's like, hey man, like, I got to go back home, like for lunch. My parents, like, you know, my grandparents are in town or whatever. It's good seeing you. Like, let's try and link up one more time before I leave. And he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah, you know what happens? Ben and Andrew don't link up after that. While it was 0% Andrew's fault, maybe he could have like lied about having a girlfriend, or just maybe, I don't even know. It wasn't his fault, bro. It wasn't his fault. But yeah, unfortunately, Andrew and Ben, this story was kind of recent. This happened this summer, but they just haven't really like talked afterwards. Like, they don't text, they don't do anything. They haven't met up again. Hopefully, right, they get over each other. Like, it'll like be in the past at some point. Or maybe like Ben will be able to show Andrew, or Andrew will be able to show Ben this video to really get his perspective. But yeah, moral of the story is lie always. Wait, that can't be the
Click on the
moral.
video
What?
on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.
Leave a like for nothing. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And just imagine for a second, you're babysitting a kid, and all you want to do is have a chill night. You know, get that bread, get paid, and maybe put him to bed early so you can watch some Netflix or something. But no, instead, this kid tries to stab you with a kitchen knife because he thinks you're a backrooms monster. And you just stand there and question your life, dude. Anyways, with that being said, sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into this story, dude. So anyways, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Adam. So anyways, Adam was asked, or he was told by his mom, that another kid, a new kid's mom, or new mom that moved into the neighborhood recently, needed someone to babysit her child. And she posted on Facebook being like, hey, I need a babysitter, and can anyone do it? And Adam's mom, low-key, just like volunteered Adam. Adam was a little upset at first because he definitely wanted to spend his Friday night just, I don't know, chilling, relaxing, maybe watching a new TV show, catching up on a good movie, playing some video games with some friends. But then Adam's mom said, hey, she's going to pay you $50 for like 3 hours. Like, you should do that. And Adam was like, hey, man, $50 for like 3 to 4 hours? That's not too bad, dude. Okay, maybe it was more like 3 to 4 hours until the kid would have to go to sleep, and then you have to wait there until the parents come back. So maybe a little bit longer. But dude, $50 is $50. And Adam was like, okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and do it. So anyways, Adam makes it to this guy's house, or is dropped off by his mom. And, you know, Adam gets there, and we're just going to call him the kid, right? The kid's mom is like, hey, like, I'm so glad you could make it. Like, you know what? We're going to call the kid who thinks the back rooms are real. We're going to call this kid Ben. Ben's mom was like, I'm so glad you can make it. Like, Ben's just downstairs, or like Ben's upstairs. And she's like, Ben, come down here. And so you hear kind of footsteps of this kid running down the stairs. And sure enough, someone who we presume is Ben walks down and says like, kind of like, says waves or whatever. Adam's like, hey, how's it going? And this kid was probably 7 or 8. Adam's like 18, just for a little bit of reference. And, you know, Ben's mom's like, all right, guys, well, I mean, I gotta go, like, we gotta go right now, as, you know, Ben's dad comes down the stairs. We gotta go right now, but yeah, we'll be, kind of turns to Adam and says, hey, put him to bed at 8. It was like 6, so he literally had like 2 hours, which is pretty chill. And he's like, we're gonna be back like 11 or 12. Feel free to just sit in the room and watch TV. The bedroom is right next to the TV room, so, you know, Ben will know where you are, and also you can check in on him. He's not gonna be too far away. And it says, we'll pay you by the end of the night, and call us if you need anything. This is important for later on. So Adam gets Ben's parents' phone number. So Ben's parents leave. And this kid, Ben, doesn't sound like that bad of a kid. He's not this isn't some babysitting horror story where the kid is an incredibly spoiled brat, or he's a psychopath, or, well, I mean, a little bit, but you'll see that later on, right? So this kid isn't like super spoiled or entitled or super bratty or anything like that. So Adam thinks that he really just got like the best deal possible, because this kid was kind of quiet. You know, Adam like looked on the TV and put on like, I don't know, Cyber Chase or some kind of cool show from back in the day that this kid would like. And at some point after about like 20 minutes, Adam's like, hey, like, I'm going to go order us a pizza. Cause, you know, Ben's parents said, hey, like, he does need to eat, but you can always order him a pizza. So he gets on the Domino's app or whatever. And at this point, you know, Ben's like, all right, well, I'm going to go in the other room and watch YouTube videos on my iPad. Little did Ben know that this would be the reason why the rest of his night would be one of the scariest nights of his life. You might be thinking to yourself, Connor, how on earth is a kid watching YouTube videos going to turn into being be the reason why this is going to be one of the scariest nights of Adam's life? Well, I'll explain. So this kid goes on his iPad and he starts watching YouTube videos. And eventually he finds one about the backrooms. And if you don't know, the backrooms is this kind of like internet urban legend / meme type thing about like you can quote unquote no clip out of reality. And like there's these like scary monsters or whatever. It's this very interesting horror story type thing. There's a lot of video games made around it, a lot of like internet media stuff around it. And it's very popular and trendy. However, this kid Ben was only 7 or 8. So when he found videos about the backrooms or whatever, he couldn't really separate, fiction from reality, if you know what I mean. So Ben kind of, was watching these videos, and Adam was like, it took about 20 minutes for the pizza to get there. And 20 minutes later, Ben comes in, walks into the room, and it looks like this dude has seen a ghost. Like, I'm not even kidding. This kid looks so frightened. And Adam looks at him. He's like, "Are you good?" He's like, "Yeah." So basically, Ben had been watching videos about the back rooms. And after watching those videos, he had convinced himself that he had no clipped into the back rooms, like last night while he was sleeping or whatever. And he watched a YouTube video that says some backroom monsters, like on floor level 72,628 or something stupid, right? They look like real people, and it's called the babysitter monster or whatever. Like, I know this sounds super goofy to you, because it definitely sounds super goofy to me. But what you got to understand is this kid is like 7 or 8 and he watches a YouTube video. And sometimes when you're 7 or 8, and for the 8-year-olds watching me, part of the 9-year-old bro army, right? Look, you guys are much older and more intelligent than this kid. So congrats to you. But look, sometimes when you're 7 or 8, you can't really separate fiction from reality. For example, when I was 7, for my birthday, I wanted my mom to get me a Star Wars robot. And I don't mean like an action figure. I mean a legitimate robot that they had in Star Wars. I wanted a real life R2-D2 that did everything that R2-D2 did, because I kind of believe that like all the droids and robots in Star Wars were actually real. Yeah, I was maybe I was like 6 or something at the time, but I can definitely relate to back in the day. You think anything, like everything that exists is real. Eventually, you start to be able to distinguish fiction from reality. But, Adam gets the pizza, he puts it down, and this Ben kid takes a piece and just like picks at it. He doesn't really do anything. And Adam's a little worried and is like, "Hey, bro, are you good? Like, you're not really eating your food. Are you not hungry or something?" And this kid's like, "I'm good. Like, maybe I'll just have some of this later." So Adam's like, "All right, well, as long as you're okay with cold pizza, I'll throw any of this, like, that you're not going to eat into the fridge." Ben doesn't eat anything. And so Adam's like, "All right, man, well, this stuff will be in the fridge when you want it. Just let me know, okay?" And so Ben is sitting there, is silent for like 20 minutes. And that's when he's like, "Hey, like, do you want to see my room?" Basically asking Ben if he wanted to see, or asking Adam if he wanted to see his room. And Adam was like, "Sure, whatever. Like, this kid seems to be going through something anyways." So, this kid Ben leads Adam up the stairs, leads him into his room. Adam walks into the room and he turns around. He's like, "Are you going to come in?" And that's when he gets the door slammed on him. Ben slams the door on Adam's face, because remember, at this point, Ben believes that Adam is secretly a backrooms monster who wants to get him or something. And Adam doesn't immediately push the door open because he thinks, I don't know, maybe Ben is playing a game or something like that. But he's a little confused. So, Adam is kind of like, "All right, Ben, like, what's going on?" And that's when he doesn't hear a response from Ben. He only hears like a piece of furniture being moved. So at this point, right, Adam's pretty confused, and that's when he hears a bump against the door. What Ben was doing was he found like a big piece of furniture, moved it in front, like kind of pushed it in front of the door. So now that like Adam was basically stuck in Ben's room, and Adam starts yelling once the piece of furniture is in front of the door. So like Ben is pretty convinced that, Adam is now stuck in his room. He's like, "I know you're a backrooms creature." And Adam is just so confused right now. He just has legitimately no idea what's going on. And he's kind of like, "Dude, what?" Because the thing is, right, Adam doesn't know what the back rooms are. He might have seen like a meme or something on like TikTok. But other than that, he just has no idea what like the back rooms are. So Adam's like, "Haha, very funny, but you're going to have to let me out there so I can, like, you know, make sure that you're safe and everything. And Ben's like, no, backrooms creature, you're not going to trick me. And at this point, Adam's starting to realize that, well, Ben might not be responding to normal people logic right now. So he's like, okay, can you at least tell me what I supposedly am? And then he's like, oh, I mean, like, can you tell me what a backrooms creature is? And Ben's like, wouldn't you like to know, backrooms monster? And Adam's like, ah. So then Ben's like, you don't, fine. Because I don't know, like, Ben was like, yeah, so I was watching YouTube, and I was watching videos on the back rooms, and last night I was dreaming, and I totally no-clipped into the back rooms. And I was watching this video on YouTube, and I know for a fact that you're a backrooms monster, and you're trying to eat me or something. And at this point, Ben's like, okay. And look, at this point, Ben is just like more annoyed / confused than anything. It starts to turn into a horror story a little bit later on, but you guys can probably tell from the intro skit that it gets pretty intense. But at this point, Adam is like, okay, man, you know, I'm just going to sit in here and let me out when you feel ready, right? So that, you know, Ben literally is like, okay, runs downstairs. And Adam is like, okay, kid's going to let me out eventually, right? So 5 minutes pass, 8 minutes pass, 15 minutes pass by, and at this point, you know, Adam's like, all right, I actually need to get out of here. So he kind of like looks through the peephole, right? Because there was like a keyhole in the door, and he looked out, and Ben was not anywhere to be seen. So if he's gonna slam through the door, he didn't risk like attacking Ben or hitting Ben or anything like that. So he slams through the door, or kind of pushes it like pretty hard, and the piece of furniture behind it kind of falls over, makes a big banging noise, but he eventually, Adam is now free from the room. And he hears from downstairs like screaming at Ben, being like, the monster's out! And, you know, Adam's like, okay, dude, whatever. And at this point, Adam is still taking this very playfully, very like, he's just being an annoying little kid or something, like whatever. So Adam walks downstairs. He's like, hey, man, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm also not really a backrooms monster. And that's when he sees Adam standing in the kitchen holding a butter knife. Yeah, it wasn't like a steak knife or something, but bro was holding a knife. And at this point, Adam's heart just drops and his face goes cold. He's like, hey, buddy, I'm going to need you to put that down. And Ben is like, no, I will not do what you say, backrooms monster. And Adam's like, hey, buddy, I'm not a backrooms monster. I'm your babysitter. And I'm asking you to put that down. And Adam is like, I'm in charge now, backrooms monster. He picks up the butter knife and starts charging towards Adam. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment backrooms down below or the backrooms down below. It's up to you. I will try and hard as many comments as I possibly can. And if you want to support the channel, literally the best thing you can possibly do is watch this video all the way through. And if afterwards you want to keep supporting the channel, literally the second best thing you can possibly do is binge watch my old videos. If you're doing this, like if you're sitting down and watching a bunch of my old videos, please let me know in the comment section down below how many videos you watched today, how many videos you watched this week, whatever, right? So that I can heart and reply to the comments just saying thank you for supporting the channel. Honestly, you guys watching the old videos is the reason why we've been doing so well lately, and I just want to say thank you, dude. I really appreciate it. Anyways, right, so Adam turns around and sprints upstairs. Because he's like, oh, hell nah, bro. Because one thing he knows is he can outrun Ben. And he can definitely, like, even though Ben was a small, fast kid, Adam was fast, agile, and he was definitely smarter, but he also didn't know the layout of the house. So Adam was just running. He's like, put that down, put that down, put that down. And, like, the spoiled kid, Ben, or not spoiled kid, but Ben, the kid, is running around like, now I'm in charge, backrooms monster. You can't haunt me if I'm haunting you. And he's swinging this, like, butter knife around. Sure, it's not a steak knife, but, dude, if someone's swinging, like, a knife at you, even if it's a butter knife, they can do at least a little bit of damage, right? And, yeah, sure, this was a little kid or anything, but Adam was not taking any chances. So Adam runs around the house, like, 3 times or whatever. Eventually, he passes by the kid's room again. He runs into the kid's room, slams the door shut, and locks it, because it can lock from the inside. The room can't lock from the outside, but it can from the in. So Adam is now in Ben's room, and he locks the door, and Ben is slamming on the door, like, I got you now, backrooms monster. There's nowhere for you to run. And Adam's like, Ben, I need you to put down that knife. I am not a backrooms monster. This is very dangerous. And if you don't do what I say right now, I'm going to tell your parents. And at this point, like, Adam kind of thought that, like, he got him because, like, Ben stopped talking for a second. And then that's when Ben starts laughing maniacally. Like, this is some scary Chucky doll with a knife type laughing right now. And Ben goes on to say, that silly backrooms monster. When my parents come back, they're going to take butter knives as well and help me beat you up because you're a backrooms monster and you want to hurt us. And Adam's like, dude, no, like, whatever YouTube video you saw was not real life. It didn't actually happen. It's not real. I'm not a backrooms monster. And I am going to call your parents. And when they come here, they're not going to take your side. I will bet you $100 trillion. And, the little kid says, I'll bet you $100,000,001,000,000 that they'll take my side. And Adam's like, all right. If you're not going to, this is your last chance, man. If you're not going to put the butter knife down, I am going to call your parents. So anyways, Ben does not put the butter knife down. Instead, he keeps yelling, do what you want to do, backrooms monster. I know that my parents are going to come on my side because you're a backrooms monster. Yeah, he really was not letting this go, dude. He was really like, this little kid was like, you're a backrooms monster. Like, what YouTube video did this guy watch? But anyways, Adam's like, all right, man. So he takes his phone, calls up the number that he got from Ben's parents earlier. Ben's mom answers immediately and is like, hey, like, what's up? Is anything wrong? Because, like, if a babysitter calls you and you're a parent, you're accepting that 1 second. Like, the second you see that notification, you're picking that up. And he basically goes on to say, hey, like, I need you guys to come back. I'm sorry. I know, like, your son has, like, picked up a butter knife and is chasing me around with it. He won't put it down for his safety and for mine. I just don't know how to handle this situation. And at this point, the mom is like, are you serious? And Adam's like, yeah, I'm not gonna prank call you, like, saying your son is trying to murk me, right? That's not an epic prank I'm gonna pull on you. I don't think he said all that, but, like, come on, dude. So the mom was like, oh, we'll be there right away. And, he puts down the phone and Adam's like, all right, Ben, your parents are coming back. And, Ben's like a little bit less, like, Adam can almost know. They can almost kind of tell that Ben is a little bit less certain now. Because he's like, well, my parents are definitely going to help me fight you. Because you're evil. So eventually, right, Ben's parents actually get there. They show up, they knock on the door or whatever. Because the door is locked, I think. And so they're knocking on the door. And Adams yells out to Ben, like, you better go get it. Because I know I'm not going out to go get it. And Ben's like, great. Well, my parents are back. And they're going to help me stab you with these butter knives. Because you're a backrooms monster. And Adam's like, okay, man, sure. So Adam, like, puts his ear up to the door. And he hears, Ben walk downstairs. Go, like, open up the door, and he hears yelling. He hears yelling from both of his parents, be like, what are you? Because I think the parents weren't 100%, like, they didn't believe it, man. They didn't know what to believe. But when they got back and they saw their son with, like, a knife in his hand, even if it was a butter knife, a knife nonetheless, right? They must have just gone ballistic. And Ben or Adam is hearing them yell, like, what are you thinking? Like, that's your babysitter. He's here to keep you safe, and you're running around chasing him with a butter knife. Like, you could have got him hurt, and you could have gotten yourself hurt as well. In fact, you could have gotten both of you guys hurt. This is ridiculous. We just wanted one night out by ourselves. Kind of going off on this kid, which, like, Adam was like, dang, that's tough. But also, bro was trying to shank him, so he didn't feel that bad. Eventually, he hears a knock on the door. It was a very firm knock, so he knew it wasn't a little kid, right? And he hears what presumably was like, or was, I should say, Ben's dad say, hey, we got Ben under control. You can come out now. He opens up the door, and what he sees shocks him. Ben's mom, and Ben's dad are all holding butter knives, and they all chant together, your time is up, backrooms monster. And they take their butter knives and they plunge it. I'm playing. It's October. Thought I'd make it a little spooky for you guys. No, the dad was up there. He's like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, our son, like, he's still very young, so he must have watched something scary on YouTube and thought that you were the scary thing he saw on YouTube. Like, we're so sorry about that. So yeah, what ended up happening was, Adam was able to go home early, and the parents actually still paid him. They paid him the $50, probably just not to make a big stink out of what happened, but Adam was able to go home, watch Netflix, play video games, and he got $50 for it. So
Click on the
kind of a
video
win.
on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a story of the subscriber's friend's very sus little sister who does some very, very strange things that makes them quite uncomfortable. So let's just jump right into this. Leave a like to claim your free nothing, and we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Daniel. So anyways, this all happened a little while back. And Daniel had this friend, and we're going to call Daniel's friend Ben. They had been friends for a very, very long time. And a long time before this. So they were juniors, or Daniel and Ben were juniors. His Ben's little sister was a sophomore, so 1 year before them. But a long time ago, back in 6th grade, Ben's little sister had this massive crush on Daniel, and whenever he'd come over to play like Lego Star Wars or something, she would always be like walking around, like happened to always show up where they were. She, all this kind of stuff, right? And eventually, like Ben actually had to have a talk with her that she needed to chill out, even though she was in 5th grade and he was in 6th grade. So it was like all this like little like I don't know. The most they would ever do would be hold hands, but obviously Ben was like, or Daniel was like, bro, that's your little sister, bro. That's weird. That's weird. And yeah, Daniel also thought that was strange. So he kind of told his little sister that she needed to chill out and that she needed to do something else, right? So anyways, all those years later, Daniel and Ben went to high school together. They went to middle school together, and they just went through the same high school. And it had been like a while since Daniel had been over at Ben's house. So he's like, hey, bro, like, what are you doing this weekend? And, Ben was like, oh, not that much. If you want to come over, that's totally fine. And, of course, Ben was like, yeah. Or Daniel's like, yeah, that sounds great. So Daniel comes over. And one thing I will also say is Daniel has not seen Ben's little sister in a very, very long time because she went to a different high school. They went to the same middle school together, but then again, they were in different grades, so they never really saw each other that often. And also, it had been a second since Daniel had been over at Ben's house. While they remained pretty close friends, I think the few times that, Daniel had actually been at Ben's house, she had been gone, and since she didn't go to the same school as them, he had not seen her in years. So anyways, Daniel gets to Ben's house. Things are pretty cool. Things are good, right? They have the plan for the day is, they're going to, Daniel's going to go over to Ben's house. They're going to chill for a second. Then they're going to go to the movies. Then they're going to head back. And then they're just, I don't know, they're just going to hang out and go to bed. Very solid night, right? Very solid night. And so Daniel makes his way over to, Daniel makes his way over to Ben's house, gets to the door. It's like, what's good? Ben's like, hey, how's it going, man? Come on in. Comes on in. Everything's looking pretty good. He walks in. Life is pretty good. He sits down. They're talking about, like, I don't know. I think they had this, like, one class together, and they were kind of talking about how, the teacher is against them. And one thing that I've learned over the years is that most likely that not every teacher is evil, even though it sometimes feels that way, and that they're not all after you, and they're not all heartless creatures, even though it does seem that way. Sometimes I've slowly come around to the conclusion that maybe that's just part of their job, and the ones that seem super cool are actually not doing their jobs right, but I digress. Anyways, so, they're sitting at the kitchen counter, they're talking about whatever, and Daniel sees that Ben's little sister walks down the stairs. She must have been there on the weekend or whatever, and Daniel's like, oh, what's good? Like, it's been a while. And we're just going to call this girl Kate. And so I don't have to keep on saying Ben's little sister. That's 3 syllables. Kate is 1, much easier. So Kate comes down, and, Kate starts talking to Daniel because it had been like, I don't know, 5, 6, it had been a long time since they've seen each other. So understandably, she comes over, starts talking to him, whatever, right? And, the conversation was pretty normal. And Daniel didn't even remember. Like, that little bit of context I gave you where Kate had this massive crush on Daniel for the longest time back in, like, 5th or 6th grade. And so it got so bad that she actually needed to be stopped, you know what I mean? That was not even in his mind until Kate says something a little weird. Says something a little bit weird. Kate asks if Daniel has a girlfriend. And Ben's kind of sitting at the table, kind of gives them both a bit of a look like, what's going on here, guys? Like, what's up? And, Daniel's like, oh, no, like, I don't. Like, Ben knows my struggles, kind of points at Ben. Ben laughs a little bit. And, Daniel's little sister Kay is like, oh, well, that's surprising. I would have thought that all of the girls at your high school would have loved you, Daniel. Like, I just can't see why they aren't. And, like, I don't know. At that point, it was a little weird because when you say that, you're basically implying, when you say, I don't see why they don't all love you, basically implying that you see something in him and you're confused why they don't. So Ben kind of has a little look on his face and Daniel's like, Daniel tries to like steer the conversation as quickly as possible and he does. But anyways, they're chilling there for a little bit and eventually, I think Ben or Daniel says like, oh, it's about time we go to the movies or whatever. And I think Kate was walking by. I don't even think that she was like that close. She wasn't like hanging out with them the whole time. I think she just happened to be walking by when, Daniel or Ben said, oh, we're going to the movies or whatever. And she's like, oh, what movie? And Daniel says the movie and she looks at Ben and she's like, hey, can I come? I really want to see that. And Ben's like, yeah, sure, that's whatever, right? Ben and his sister were pretty close anyway, so it's not like they were beefing or anything. And it was fine, like whatever. So she hops in the car and they're all driving over and they get out and, they go to the movie theater, they get popcorn, they sit down. And the way they sit down is, so Ben sits on the very far end. Then Daniel comes in and sits down, and then Kate sits next to Daniel, and he doesn't think anything of it. I will say that Daniel is a little bit aware that it's a little bit strange that she said that thing about like, oh, I can't, wow, you don't have a girlfriend? What are the girls at your school? They're missing out. Like that's a little bit weird. Cannot lie, right? Cannot lie about that one. So sure enough, they're sitting at the movies. And they're just watching whatever. And things get to be a little weird. Real quick, subscribe if you haven't already and you like stories. Trying to hit 1 million subs because the gold play button would be pretty cool. Anyways, things start to get a little bit weird because, he's sitting there and she is sitting next to him. And he just feels this hand like on his lower leg, like his upper thigh or what, not upper, okay, that's a little weird, like lower upper part of his leg, right, like the top half of his leg, and it's just like resting there, and he looks up and it is Kate. She just has it there, and Daniel's like a little bit weirded out right now. He's not gonna lie, he's a little bit weirded out. He's just like, okay, I don't totally know what this means, and part of him's like, oh, maybe this is a friendship upper thigh hold. You know what I mean? It's a little hard to, I'm not going to lie, Daniel was definitely doing a bit of mental gymnastics to justify what is happening to himself. I will not lie. He's doing a bit of mental gymnastics for sure. And she just like kind of like, oh man, and then like the most, Daniel says the second most awkward thing that happens that night because don't worry, the big crazy thing is still coming. But they make eye contact. Daniel looks over and she looks up at him as she like has his hand on her leg and like starts to move it up a little bit. And Daniel's like turns to Ben's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Turns her and kind of like makes sure that she hears. So he gets up and he leaves. He walks out. He goes to the bathroom. He's in the bathroom right now. He just like, Daniel like gets to the counter and just kind of like sits there. Or like puts his hands down on the counter, looks into the mirror, looks back at himself, right? And he's just like, that's gotta be sus, right? That's gotta be something. I'm not making that up. And he just kind of like sits there for a second. He's thinking to himself, okay. No way would Ben's sister want to have anything to do with me, right? Sure, even if she did like me in 6th grade, and sure, even though she did make that weird comment about how the girls should like me at my school. And sure, she just did run her hand up my leg while making eye contact with me. And oh no. And that's when Daniel realizes that he is not being dramatic, that he is not making things up, and that in fact, Kate is basically making a move objectively, right? So then Daniel thinks to himself, okay, and he's right at this moment, he's still sitting in the, sitting in the movie theater bathroom. So people are walking by or whatever, and he's just like looking at himself in the mirror like, okay, there's no way she would actually make a move though, right? I mean, Ben would be so mad. Like, she wouldn't want to do that to him. right? Right? And at that moment, the door opens up and Ben walks behind him. He's like, what's good, man? You feeling all right? Because, like, Daniel's just staring at himself in the mirror, just like, ugh. And he kind of looks a little sick, bro, because this scenario is making him sick. But, yeah, anyways, Daniel looks at Ben and is like, yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah. Don't worry about me, man. I'm big chillin'. You're good. And Daniel kind of looks at him, or Ben kind of looks at him, gives him a little bit of a weird look, like, are you sure? And this is like, all right, well, let me know if anything changes. So let me just let you know that something does change. Something really big and awkward and just big, just bad. This big bad, right? That's the easiest way for me to put it, is about to happen. And you thought that, like, Kate has been making a move so far? No. But Kate is about to make an actual move, and it's pretty bad. But if you made it this far into the video, I would like you to comment movie down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll heart as many comments as I can that say movie, as that is the secret word. I'll try and, if you want to farm some hearts, try and get top commenter. Best way to do that is to comment that down below right now. Let's get back to it. So anyways, Daniel, Ben, and Kate, eventually they're back in the car, driving back from the movie. They're talking about what, if they enjoyed the movie, what they thought about it, all that kind of good stuff, right? And they eventually drive back, and I think they stop at a restaurant or something. I'm trying to remember what, because Daniel submitted this as subscriber story. You can submit your own stories to my Instagram. He said they stopped at like a restaurant or something like that, and it was cool, and nothing happened. The important detail is that after the weird movie thing, nothing happens for the rest of the night until something a little later. But up until this point, Daniel's kind of thinking, okay, I think I made the message clear to her that I'm not trying to do anything, because when she tried to do something, I got up and went to the bathroom. So Daniel at this point was like, kind of like, he was relieved. He was kind of felt this weight drop off of him, because he's like, okay, she gets it. I made my point clear. Things are good, etc. Right? So he's feeling pretty good about it. They go to dinner. Things are pretty normal. They eventually get back to the house. It's kind of late. They just kind of all sit down on the couch or whatever. Actually, Kate goes up and does something else. It's literally just Daniel and Ben chilling on the couch. I don't know. I've thrown some like Netflix or something, some TV show, or I don't know, something like kind of just a wind down at the end of the day, good relaxing whatever, who knows, right? And eventually Ben's like, bro, Daniel, I'm beat, I'm going to bed, like, you can stay here, it's fine. It was like 9 at night, so Daniel was not tired at this point, so he was kind of like, all right, well, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit, but it's been a good day, I'll see you around. So Ben goes upstairs, and Daniel's just sitting on the couch, right? And he's just kind of chilling, relaxing, doing whatever. He's on his phone, partially watching TV, kind of doing that little split screen activity, you know what I mean? And that's when, he sees Kate walk down, and she's probably trying to get some like water or something. She turns around, she's like, oh, Daniel, where's Ben? And Daniel looks up, and in his head he's like, uh-oh. He's like, Ben went to bed. Ben went to bed early. But obviously I'm not too tired right now, so I'm staying up. And she's like, oh, okay. And she literally just invites herself in and sits on the couch next to him. And Daniel in his head is like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. You know that meme with like the dog who's like sitting at a desk and the entire thing around him's on fire and he's like, this is fine? That was more or less Daniel's mentality at this point, because he knew things were not that fine. Because sure enough, Kate was like flirting with him a little bit. She was saying all this stuff. I don't know exactly what she said, but just recreate standard flirting, right? It can't be that hard. Can't be that hard for you guys to guess. But it's just like very standard stuff, right? And she's like, oh, give me the remote or whatever. And the thing is, this is where it gets weird. So the remote is on the other side of where Daniel's like, so it's like on the other side of him, right? And it's like she, instead of waiting for him to pick up the remote and give it to her, what she does is she like reaches over him and like leans over him to get the remote. And instead of grabbing the remote and coming back, like instead of grabbing the remote and going back to where she was sitting, she stops midway through leaning over him. It's very clear in retrospect that she did not care about the remote. She just wanted to get in an ideal position, right? Because she leans over, and instead of grabbing the remote and looking at the remote, she turns her head to look up directly at Daniel. So now Daniel is in a position where Kate is leaning over him and her face is facing his and they're like 3 inches apart. And Daniel's just like, and it is the most awkward 30 seconds. She's like legitimately there for maybe under 30 seconds, but above 20 seconds. It is a good amount of time that she is just awkwardly there, just like looking at him. He's like, And she eventually grabs the remote, puts something on, and within like 10 minutes or less, she gets up and she's like, I'm going to bed. I'll see you tomorrow. And it's so apparent that she like basically realized that she got rejected in that moment because, I mean, while she didn't make a move, she got herself into a position where, like, if she fell forward, she would have made a move. Like, she got herself into such a position where it was so obvious what she wanted to do and what she wanted Daniel to do. And the fact that Daniel didn't, like, say okay and, like, go with it kind of just shows that, you know, that he basically said no. And she picked up on that pretty quickly because even after she stood there, because she stayed there for like 10 minutes after picking something on the TV, but she just was not talking to him. She like was much farther away from him. Like when she sat on the couch, she sat like half a foot away from him. By the time she grabbed the remote and was like rejected, she sat all the way at the end of the couch. Like it was very clear that she knew she got rejected. So the next day, they all wake up and they're all sitting at the kitchen counter. And it's very awkward, and they're all very tired. And it's not really awkward because it's awkward between Daniel and Kate, but Ben is kind of picking up on that. But he doesn't question it. He doesn't think much about it. And if you want to support the channel, go watch another video, leave a like in the video, and
In
peace.
today's subscriber story, this spoiled rich girl is being a huge brat on the school's field trip, till a pretty hilarious twist happens, and it's probably one of the greatest examples of instant karma I've ever seen. Enjoy. The story all happens on a school trip to a dinosaur museum. This was the subscriber's like key event for his year in 5th grade. The big thing they did was they went to this dinosaur museum as a class. It was kind of like the big culminating final event. So this happened towards the end of his 5th grade year. And this was like a very big deal for everyone as like they studied an entire unit on dinosaurs. They finished up a final project, and the big kind of reward / payoff would be to go to this dinosaur museum. Just kind of like check out all the cool like skeletons and fossils and models and like just have a really good time, right? So everyone there was pretty excited, and you know the day happened, and the subscriber and his friends, they load onto the bus, and they sat towards the back. They're sitting like with the boys. You know, I don't know if you guys have been like on field trip buses. It's just like a really good spot towards the back with your friends, just having a good time. It's a great time, right? Anyways, but it wasn't a perfect field trip ride over, unfortunately, and I'll get into that right now. So there was this girl in the subscribers class, and her name was Betty. And right, her parents made a lot of money, and right off the bat, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, she can't do anything about that. She can't do anything about her parents making a little bit of money, a lot of money, a moderate amount of money. It's not in her control. So that's not, I never look down on someone for that alone, right? But it's really the way you act about it. Like, and Betty, let's just say, took it in the worst way possible. She basically acted the worst because of it. And that's something that is 100% in your control, man. Like, I know it's like, oh, the parents raised her. Dude, you're in 5th grade at this point. Like, it's time to grow up. I know I'm saying like 5th grader, time to grow up. But at some point, man, like, I don't know, dude. Like, yeah, it's definitely on the parents for like raising a kid, like, and teaching them the wrong things. But time to grow up. I'm going to say time to grow up. Anyways, Betty was known as being kind of like this snotty, spoiled girl, right? And on this field trip on the ride over, she just started talking about how she was so excited to go to the gift store. And everyone else was actually, who was on the bus was talking about what they were excited about. Kind of like, I can't wait to see the big, dinosaur sculptures. I can't wait to, check out the big model. Like, I'm going to take a photo with it. I'm going to go send it to my mom. She's going to be so excited. Like, this is going to be so cool. And Betty's like, what Betty was talking about and talking about very loudly to like the one person she sat with, because Betty didn't really have a lot of friends because, I mean, she kind of caused that herself because of her actions, but it is what it is, right? But Betty did sit down with someone forcibly, so she was telling them and saying it loud enough so that as many people as possible could hear, as well as the subscriber could hear, because that's how I know about this part, right? That, she actually just got a new credit card from her dad and she will be maxing it out in the gift store, and she's so excited to buy stuff in the gift store. And then she kind of like looks around, and then she like looks at the person she's sitting next to and is like, can you max out your credit card in the gift store? And the random girl who's sitting next to her is like, dude, I'm a 5th grader. I don't have a credit card. I have like $25 in a bank account that was given to me by my aunt for Halloween or something, dude. Like, you and I we're just not the same. And yeah, no, I will not be buying anything in the gift store. I do have $10 for lunch though, since we do need to bring a little bit of money to buy lunch there. Like, like that's all I have. Like, I'm not planning on maxing out a credit card for the gift store, but you do you, Betty, like, have a good life. I don't really care. Subscriber that sent in the story and his friends kind of like looked at each other, like rolled their eyes, because this is not the first time Betty has said something like kind of out of pocket like this. I mean, he gave one example in the DM he sent to me. By the way, if you want to have your own stories featured on the channel, DM my Instagram, the stories, the handle's in the description. Anyways, he also gave me a previous story, which I'm just going to tack on real quick to give you guys a little bit of context of Betty. By the way, subscribe if you like story videos. That's it. Back to the story. This mini story happened just a few weeks ago before the dinosaur big story, right? Basically, at this subscriber's school, you could either get the lunch there or you could bring your own lunch. And one of these days, Betty didn't bring her own lunch. And her own lunch used to be this really like fancy stuff that her nanny or whatever would make. And one day, like for some reason, she forgot it. And she had to eat the school lunch. And the school lunch was not that great. It was not the most epic thing ever. But the thing was, like, everyone kind of dealt with it, or they brought their own lunch, but sometimes they'd actually have to eat the school lunch. It was just something you dealt with. But when Betty had to start eating the school lunch, it was put on her plate. She went down to sit down and just started crying in the middle of the dining hall, bro. And everyone was just like, dude, we all have to do this too. Just get over yourself. So that was just like a little context of Betty, right? So, right, they're on the bus. Betty's talking about how she's going to buy out the gift shop and how she's so excited to do that. And they eventually arrive at the place, at the museum. So they kind of file out of the bus. They take a head count. They have like the buddy system. Poor girl who sat next to Betty, just like not at her own will, right? Was kind of forced to be buddies with her because you had to be buddies with who you're on the bus with. And, so they all walked out. They all went into the museum. Basically, the teachers kind of said, hey, feel free to go wherever as long as it's within the museum. However, you have to be back at 12 for lunch. Everyone make sure to bring your $10 that you brought, right? Or whatever method you'll be paying, as we'll all be going to get lunch together. But other than that, feel free to just roam around and do whatever you want. The subscriber and his friends obviously went around to see all the cool like sculptures and dinosaur, stuff, and just a lot of the cool stuff associated with like, the skeletons. They actually had some real fossils there. So they checked those out and they saw this. They went down to also see a screening of like a little like 15-minute long like little movie that the museum made, which was really cool, as they tried to like recreate like the extinction event with the asteroid or whatever. But anyways, they're having a good time. But then Betty comes up to them. And here's the thing. They're not friends with Betty, but they're also not like enemies, or I've never not spoken to Betty, because their class isn't like the largest class size ever. It's not small necessarily, but they at least have had enough interactions with Betty that Betty feels comfortable enough to like go up to them and like talk to them, right? She's at least that level of comfort. So Betty's like, hey, come with me, guys. I want to show you something. And they at first kind of were like not really thinking that much. They're like, the subscriber was like, I'm going to be honest, like we were being kind of dumb because like we definitely knew what Betty was saying on the bus, but we were just like, oh, maybe she found a really cool dinosaur sculpture, man. Like, I don't know, or a really cool part of the exhibit that we haven't seen yet. Like, let's just go with her. And right, she's like kind of like dragging one of them. The other couple are following behind. And they're moving past all these exhibits. And, one of them looks up and there's a sign that says gift shop, like a minute away that way. The dude's like, oh no, dude, like no way. Like we're not going shopping on like the most fun vacation of the year. Like I have to do that with my mom on the weekends. I hate doing that. Like, bro, why would I intentionally do that? But it was already too late. They were already dragged there. And then Betty's like, and now I'm going to buy whatever I want. And there was like another girl in, in the bookshop, not the bookshop, the gift shop. And she was like trying to decide between like a dinosaur stuffed animal or this like coloring book. And then like Betty goes up to her and is like, look what I can do. And just like unironically just like grabs both, not like the items that the girl was holding because there was multiple of them, but grabs the items that the other girl in their grade was deciding between, puts them in a bag, and then keeps walking around just putting random stuff in her bag. So at first, the subscriber and his friends were kind of planning on, dipping within like a couple seconds of getting there because they're like, dude, we don't want to be here. But they were like, they actually decided to stay and just like watch the whole thing go down because Betty literally went through and got one of everything. And I'm not even kidding, man. She went out of there with like 6 to 7 bags full of like stuff. One of basically every item in the gift shop. Yeah, it wasn't like a Toys R Us size gift shop where it's like multiple floors or anything, but it was a decent sized gift shop. This was not some kind of like little like shack on wheels. This was a legitimate gift shop. Like the museum definitely made some bread there. So they wanted to like flesh it out and have a lot of options for people to buy. And Betty literally bought every option. Like on a multiple choice test, she literally just chose D, all of the above. It's crazy. But here's the thing, right? Betty probably didn't want every item that she bought. In fact, there's probably only a few items that she really wanted, if she even wanted any of the items at all, because she did seem pretty like not interested in the whole like in the rest of the museum. So why would she care about all these things like that she could buy at the gift shop? What she really wanted, right, was to like fill the bags, buy all this stuff, and then walk around the museum, find as many of the people who went to her school as possible, and just kind of like show off the bags. Like walk up to them and be like, oh man, this is so heavy. My arms hurt so much from carrying all this stuff I just bought. I bought one of everything, bro. Like, look at me. All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt the story for just a second and ask you to go ahead and comment. Comment snow in the comment section down below. That's the secret phrase of today's video. And I just want to see how many people actually made it this far into the video, as I do appreciate it, as watch time is good. And also you can see who else like actually watched it. And it's like a little secret club or whatever. Anyways, back to the story. So Betty does eventually go around walking with all the bags, and it was heavy. Like she was dedicated to the flex. Like she was very dedicated to showing off to as many people as possible that she basically bought one of everything when it came to the stuff in the gift store. Like she said that on the bus, and she said it loud enough that like she knew at least a decent handful of people had heard her, and she wanted to make sure that everyone knew that she like was true on her promise. So she did that. She just walked around with these big bags and was like, ah, ha ha, right? And okay, so it's 12, right? Or it's like 11:50. People are starting to walk over and to the food line because, as you know, I said earlier, at 12, the teacher said, hey, we got to reconvene so we can all get lunch together and also just take a little head count. Like they're staying till like 2 or 3 or I don't even know, probably like a couple more hours. But they just wanted to reconvene at lunch to make sure that like everyone was doing all right. Anyway, so they all get into line, and like the subscriber is in line with his friends, and they happen to be right behind this girl. They're right behind Betty. Sorry, I forgot the fake name for a second. But anyways, right, so they're behind Betty in line, and the line's moving up, and basically you hand them the $10, or you insert the credit card, or, maybe you hand them the like 2,000 pennies or whatever it costs for like $10. I didn't do the math. Anyway, so it's Betty's turn, and she just instantly just drops the card on like the machine. She hands it to the dude swipes it, and the dude's like, sorry, like, it declined. And she just looks at them like, swipe it again. So he swipes again, and he's like, nope, still declined. And then she starts to like panic a little bit because now there's a little bit of a line behind her. Everyone just heard that her card declined. She checks the app because it's like connected to an app or something. Basically, they froze the card because she bought too many things too quickly on a card that was too brand new, and kind of like, because the museum was kind of far away in like a location that wasn't normal. So they froze her account. and she couldn't pay for anything. And it wasn't like in her name because she was in 5th grade, dude. Like, obviously, it was not in her name. It was in her dad's name, so it needed her dad to like figure that out. And he was like busy at work during this time, and she knew that. So basically, she had no money. She couldn't buy lunch at this point. So she just like, she had to do, it was after going around everywhere. And she's still holding these big bags of like all the stuff she bought with the credit card. She now has to do a walk of shame all the way back, asking every single person in line, hey, do you have any money I could borrow? A complete 180 from what she was doing like 5 minutes ago. And you know who ended up having the extra $10 that like she could actually like lend to Betty? The girl that she snubbed in the gift shop, the one that she went and bought both of the items, right? And you know why she gets an extra $10? Because she decided to buy neither and save the $10, right? But she gave it to Betty. She's like, I don't like, yeah, you're kind of a jerk to me, but I don't want you to go hungry, right? So just pay me back later. And yeah, that was probably the like that subscriber witnessing the whole thing was like, that was like probably one of the most like instant karma, quickest humble moments he's ever seen. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you want to support the channel, just go ahead and watch another story video. One of the easiest ways to do that is to watch the Storytime playlist, which is first linked in the description. So yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.
In today's subscriber story, the subscriber breaks up with his girlfriend, and she doesn't take that well, and ends up doing some pretty unthinkable things, such as, I'm not going to spoil it, enjoy the story. So the subscriber was in a relationship with this girl for like 6 months, and let's call this girl Cassidy, right? So the subscriber and Cassidy had a pretty decent relationship. The subscriber said that from all he could tell that Cassidy seems pretty normal, and didn't really seem like she would do anything like she did, which I'll tell you what she did. It was pretty crazy, right? Anyways, but she seemed very normal, very level-headed, very just I don't know how to say normal in more words, right? But things just weren't totally working out. It wasn't anything wrong with her. It wasn't anything wrong with the subscriber. The subscriber just didn't really feel as if he just didn't really feel like it was working out. He couldn't totally explain it. He said to me it was something along the lines of like, they just weren't like, she wasn't the right fit for him. And it wasn't that she was wrong or anything. It just wasn't the right fit. And, he didn't want to waste her time if he didn't think that this could, turn into anything or turn into something or, he just wanted to be respectful of his and her time. And, that's not the easiest thing to explain to someone when you don't totally know why, but sometimes you just got to go with your gut. So one day, right, he went up to Cassidy and he's like, hey, we got to talk. And she's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, just heads up, it's not great. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we can talk. So they go and get lunch, and he's just like, hey, like, I don't know how to explain this, but I just don't think this is going to work long term. It's not you. It's also not me. I just don't think we're like that compatible, and I don't want to waste your time. I want to respect your time. I want, I don't want to lead this on to make it seem like I think it's going to go somewhere where I deep down don't think it is. And the subscriber was a little bit worried how she was going to take it because it wasn't super apparent that he was feeling this way. And it wasn't like the day before he was like, I love you, I want to be with you forever. But, he wasn't like, it wasn't very clear that this is the direction it was about to go. So he was a little nervous that Cassidy was going to be upset with him for, not making it clearer or just kind of be upset in general as, that's understandable while, Cassidy had no right to say you had to stay in this relationship. It's understandable if she'd be upset. Maybe she was feeling completely the other way and this is a complete shock to her. It would be understandable if she was upset or not taking it well. However, she took it really well, according to the subscriber. Apparently, she was just like, oh, I didn't know, I didn't notice that, but it's, I'm glad you are telling me this, and I'm glad that, you're respecting my time as well, but not, continuing something that you didn't really think was going to, work long term, and, it's all good, and I'm glad, that we're on the same page now. It's I enjoyed our time, but, that's all cool. And he's like, wow, yeah, in his head, he was just shocked. He was convinced that she was going to be more upset, at least more openly upset. And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry this was so sudden. I just thought I had to do this. She said, no, I totally get it. And the subscriber really thought that was it. He was really convinced for a second that, the whole thing, was ended in a nice little tight, neat bow, and the whole thing was great, right? It turns out
he was very wrong. I mean, I can understand why he thought it would be totally normal. But yeah, no, turns out he was very, very wrong. Yeah. So over the following week, there wasn't really anything that happened, except he did say that he noticed like a decent uptick in like blocked caller ID calls. If you don't know, when you call someone like on iPhone or Android or something, you can make it so that like the number calling is blocked. And a lot of people do that to like quote unquote prank call their friends, or if you just want to like hide your, your identity when you call someone. I never pick those up. I never have. It's always there's nothing good that comes out of those, if I'm being honest. But he was receiving a very large number of them. First, he did the same thing and just like did not respond to them because he didn't want to encourage if it was like a prank call or something. He just wasn't like for that. But he was getting enough of them that he just picked one of them up and he's like, "Hello?" And it was just like silence on the other end. And he's like, "Hello? Like, hi, I'm hello? Like, what's going on?" And he waited like 20 seconds and then the person on the other side hung up. So about a week after they broke up, it was like they broke up on a Friday. So the next Friday, he went back to his house. He was done with school, heading back to his house. His parents were going to be out for the night. He was old enough at this point that his parents were like, "Yeah, you can deal with the house by yourself." He must have been like junior or senior in high school at this point because he was still in high school. But yeah, he had the entire house for himself and he was kind of excited. He was just going to have a very chill night. He didn't really want to invite anyone over as he didn't think his parents would have been super cool with that. Like, they were cool with letting him be there by himself, but they still didn't think he was old enough to have to manage like people over. If he had too many people, it would have looked like a party and the neighbors would have called. Like, it would have been a big deal. So he's just like, "You know what? I'm just going to have a chill night by myself." So he pulls into the driveway of his house and he goes to the door and the door was unlocked, right? His parents didn't lock it because they left like an hour before he had returned. But when he got to the door, it wasn't just unlocked. It was open like a crack. And his parents did something special. Like, his family did something special. Their parents used to do it as well way back in the day. So his parents just kind of like kept up the tradition of sorts. It's not really a tradition, but it was like an old-fashioned like safety measure. So if they were to leave the door unlocked, what they would do is on the outside, they would have like a thin layer of, it wasn't tape, but it was some kind of like something you could stick on the door. And if the door was to be opened, that thing would break, right? It would like, the thing would snap in half and it wouldn't be very loud. It wouldn't be very obvious that like something broke, but it was like a thing of tape, but like it wasn't tape in the sense that it would like, it was like there was a adhesive on both sides and it was like very thin so that it would rip and it would be like, it wouldn't be very apparent. Either way, right? He looks at the piece of like tape or like the piece of like paper, whatever, the very thin one, and it was broken. And that means that either the parents went back into the house and forgot to like redo the thing, or this was an old piece of paper that they left and they didn't fix it, or, and unfortunately, most likely, someone had been in the house. Pause. Subscribe if you haven't already. All right, play. So he's kind of freaking out and he kind of like looks into the house and he's just like uncomfortable. And he just, he's kind of like at the door thinking, do I go in? Like, is there someone in the house? Like, he's kind of really freaking out at this point. But he decides it maybe would have been better to just like call for backup. But he thinks like, he just like goes in. He just investigates it himself, which I know in like every horror movie is like how like the character in the first 5 seconds, like, meets their demise, right? But at the same time, he was curious. He needed to know. He needed to kind of know for himself, if you know what I mean. So he goes in there. He goes through all the rooms. He's going through like very carefully. He goes into his room. He notices his door is like slightly open. He like creeps in a little bit. He looks, this is very like intense and uncomfortable at the moment. I don't know if I'm building the right atmosphere, but he kind of like looks in and he kind of like opens his door quickly and like goes in there and just no one's in there. He kind of like opens the closet slowly and then opens it quickly. No one's in the closet. Peeks under their bed. No one is there. And now he's gone through every single room in the house. He's even checked out the basement, which he told me was like one of the scariest things for him to do, especially when he thinks someone might be in the house. And once again, he says, this was stupid. I should have called for backup or my parents or police or just like not gone in. But either way, right, he doesn't find anyone, but he's still freaked out. He doesn't want to chill in the house, at least for a little bit. He might call for a friend to come over. And, he just decides, you know what, I'm just going to go for a drive. I will call for someone to come over later. I'm going to tell my parents about this in a second. I just need to get out of the house. So he gets in his car and he just starts driving around the neighborhood. And he's just trying to think like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to tell my parents about this. Then he's thinking, okay, maybe I should call a friend to come over just to stay the night. Maybe a couple as well. I don't even know. And he's like, maybe I should go to a friend's house instead. And maybe my parents would like that. Maybe. And then as he's in the middle of thinking, he notices like a car was behind him. And he just kind of recognized the car for some reason, but he couldn't put his finger on why. And he was thinking about that car. So he's like, okay, this is a little weird. I'm gonna just, I'm just gonna keep going. And he decides he keeps driving around the neighborhood, kind of going around aimlessly, and this car will not leave him. This car will not leave him alone, dude. And he's like, okay, and he remembers that his mom taught him, like, okay, if you ever think someone's following you, a sure way to figure this out is if you take 4 right turns. That basically just means that you will go in a circle and there's no reason for someone to make 4 right turns unless they're following you, because it just makes no sense. So he makes the first right turn, the car follows him, makes the next right turn, car's still there, makes the third right turn, and he thinks for a second that the car had turned, but no, it was just like a little bit slower and got behind. He makes the final right turn, and the car's still on his tail. Now he's freaking out. He's absolutely freaking out at this point. He's like, there's like at this point, if you make 4 right turns and the car's still following you, they're following you. Like there's no shot about it. So he's driving a little bit quicker, and they seem to pick up the pace a little bit. And he's thinking to himself, I can't go back home at this point because, they'll know, like, they'll follow me back home. And he's like, oh, shoot. And he's like, I know what I need to do. So he pulls onto the highway, and the highway, it's a lot faster. And you can kind of get away with, like, you can definitely kind of, like, weave in and out of people a little bit more. I mean, obviously not to, like, a crazy extent. But he gets on the highway, and they're a little bit slower to get on the highway, and he goes in the fast lane. He starts passing people, and he remembers he takes an exit that goes back onto another highway, and at this point, through like dodging through enough kind of like roads, going fast enough, passing enough people, he eventually makes a massive loop and loses them. But he also realizes that if this is the same person who broke into his house, they know where he lives. So he drives back home, and he goes into his house, because he remembered on his drive that they have like one of those like Ring security cameras, like one of those things that like was on Shark Tank but then got really popular when Amazon bought them. Basically, right, if the person went through the front door, he would have video of who it was. So what his plan was, he was going to go into the house, he was going to get the security camera footage, and then get back in the car and leave. Today's special word or secret word is car. So if you made it this far into the video, comment car down below. I just like to see how many people made it this far. I try and heart as many of these comments as I can, but there's been so many recently, which I'm very thankful for, but that also means I can't get to as many. So it's not a guarantee, but there's a decent shot you get a heart if you comment car down below. So yeah, maybe you'll be top commenter or whatever that little thing is next to your name. Anyways, back to the story. So it must have not been exactly like a Ring camera, because Ring camera is like attached to an app or something. There was somehow like a video camera that was like attached to like a computer inside. And he goes inside and he looks on the, he somehow like exports the video to his phone, and he goes back into his car as he feels safer in there. He drives out a little bit and goes to like a parking lot, just kind of like 5 minutes away. He loads up the video file, and he kind of like searches through the day, as it's like a lot of video of like if the mailman comes, it activates the camera, etc. And then skips to like 30 minutes, like an hour before he sees his parents leave. And then he sees someone at the door. And it's his ex-girlfriend, it's Cassidy. Yeah, she was the one who broke into his house. Anyway, so he calls up his parents, and he explains exactly what happened. They're like, oh my God, do you want us to come back now? Do you want to call the police? He says, no, I think I'm going to crash at a friend's house, and don't call the police. I'm just going to talk to her tomorrow. Yeah. And then he calls up a friend, and he's like, explains the whole thing. He's like, dude, that's insane. He's like, yeah, of course you can come over. And he's like, thanks, bro. Like, I appreciate it. So he stays over at a friend's house that night because it's just weird, right? And the next day, school rolls around, and he knows what class Cassidy has, like, first thing in the morning. He had a free in the first thing in the morning, so he had some time, and he kind of, like, stalked outside of her class, And she got out of her class. She was walking out with a friend, and he stops her and says, "Hey, we need to talk for a second." And she's like, "Hey, I'm kind of busy. Like, I got a class coming up." He said, "No, this is more important, and I'll be quick." He says, "Why did you break into my house yesterday and follow me with your car? I now recognize it." Because he then recognized it when all the pieces came together. And she said, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, I got video proof of you breaking into my house." And she, in her kind of facade of being confused and everything, completely crumbles. And she's like, "I don't know. I can't. It's so wrong, but I wanted to make sure you weren't getting with anyone else because I'm not over you." And he said, "Okay, right. This is first strike and only strike. This is crazy, and if I ever catch you doing this again, I will report you to the police. You will get a restraining order. You will get in trouble. I have proof now, and I will have proof later. If you ever do anything like this again, or even really come close to me, no, it's done." And she said, I'm so sorry. And he's like, "No, I'm being very serious right now." And she said, "Okay, I understand." Subscribe if you haven't already, and watch another story video if you're bored.
Today's
Peace.
subscriber story, the subscriber's then girlfriend does something actually unthinkable. Enjoy the story. The subscriber's then girlfriend was named, let's call her Abby, right? So Abby and the subscriber had been in a relationship for a little over 2 years at this point. So this relationship, it wasn't, a perfect relationship, but honestly, there are really no things as a perfect relationship. It really doesn't exist. But they were, as he thought, they were doing pretty well. But under the scene, behind the scenes, right, under the curtain, there was a lot of issues that, the subscriber didn't even really realize. And one of them was kind of a big jealousy issue from Abby. And it was a really big issue, and he honestly had no idea about it until, it was way too late, as you'll see in a second. So one night after school, Abby and the subscriber were just kind of hanging out, and she out of the blue, honestly, kind of just out of nowhere, brings up the fact that she's like, "Hey, I saw you with some girl yesterday." And he's like, "Yeah, that girl," and let's just call her Maya. She doesn't really come up later in the story, but I just like giving people names. Yeah, Maya and I are partners for class. And she said, "Partners? Why did you choose to, be with Maya?" And he said, "No, we didn't really have a choice, right? It was just assigned partners for a group project." And she says, "That's a little suspicious. I don't know if I believe you." And the subscriber's like, "Abby, why would I lie? Why would I'm in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with you. Why would I choose what? First of all, one, I didn't have the ability to choose my partner. And two, this is a partner for a project, right? And it's an in-class project. It's not like I'm trying to get an excuse to go to her house to prepare for the project or something crazy, right? No, this is an in-class project and we were assigned partners." And Abby was like, "I don't know. I still feel weird about it." And he's like, "I guess I could ask the professor to change partners, but we're already kind of deep into it. And it would be kind of just a hassle." The subscriber was thinking, okay, she's being ridiculous right now, which to be fair, she was being ridiculous. So they just kind of keep talking about it. And really, the subscriber's making no ground with Abby. She keeps saying "Oh, I just feel weird about it. That makes me uncomfortable." And he's like, "There's literally nothing to be uncomfortable about." He was starting to get a little bit annoyed because it was legitimately an assigned partner. And also he was like, "Why did you see me in my class? You don't have a class next to me. There's really no reason. How did you even know that?" And she's like, "So you were hiding it from me?" And he's like, "No, dude, I literally don't care. I'm just curious why, how you even saw I was with someone in my class, just sitting there with them." And she was like, "I happened to be walking by." And he didn't press her on this, but there's honestly no reason for her to walk by because cafeteria, completely different place. She had no class around there. It just was kind of weird, but he didn't end up pressing her on it. And eventually she's like, "I just got to go." And he's like, Are you going because you're done and you're just kind of tired? Are you done? Are you going because you're actually upset over the fact that I was assigned a partner in class? And she was like, "I don't like your attitude about this. It actually, it's making me distressed and you're not being helpful." And he's like, "I guess, look, I can always go to the professor." And she's like, "The damage has been done." And he's like, "Dude, what damage?" And she's like, "I just got to go." So Abby leaves, right? And he's just like, "Okay, you know what? Tomorrow, she's probably just upset about something. And probably by tomorrow, once she sleeps on it, it's going to be totally fine." So the next day rolls around in school.
And he sees Abby because they have like some periods where they like happen to like cross paths. And she's like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, good. Are you doing all right? You're a little off last night. And she kind of just looks at him and gives him this weird kind of smile. And she's like, yeah, I'm actually doing great. And she said it in kind of like a weird way, but he kind of thought to himself that he must have been like overthinking it because he's like, okay, dude, like you're overthinking it. And she's got this, keeps on giving him this weird smile, like this weird little smirk, like that, she knew something that he didn't know. And he didn't like that feeling, but also he kind of felt like he was being paranoid and that he was looking way too much into this. And he didn't want to be like, after like telling Abby that she was looking way too, like she thought something was like super important when honestly it wasn't that deep. He didn't want to the next day to like flip it around and like pretend, like make something that wasn't that important, like make it a big deal, right? He didn't want to do the exact same thing they accused her of doing the night before. So he kind of let it go and he was kind of played it at surface value, meaning he kind of just was like, oh, well, I'm glad you're feeling good. Like trying to like act as if she was being genuine where it was she's just being very weird. She's being very off about it and he just couldn't figure out why. So anyways, right, he goes to his class, and this is the second period of the day, and in the second period of the day, he, has a class with one of his best friends, who we'll call James, right? So him and James had known each other for a very long time at this point. Over the years, James and the subscriber had become very close friends, and, the subscriber at the time, counted James as probably one of his best friends. Maybe not the best friends, but one of the best friends, which is still a pretty big title in my opinion. Anyways, so, in this class, there's like tables and there's like 4 people that sit at each table and there's not assigned seats, but there's kind of like unassigned assigned seats where basically you sit, you just kind of like sit in the same place every single time. And while no one's like forcing you to sit there, you just kind of sit there every single time. And no one wants to disrupt like the natural flow of the class, right? So at this table, it's 2 like people he kind of is friends with and then James, right? So he sits down. And then James is at the class, and James is just looking weird. James is just like acting very, very strange. And he's like having these kind of like sideways glances at the subscriber. Pause. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Anyway, so James was giving really weird looks to the subscriber. Kind of just like looking up then looking down quickly. He was kind of nervous. He could see that he was like fidgeting like more than usual. Like James wasn't a big fidgeter. He kind of just like sat there pretty like calm and relaxed most of the times, but like his leg was going, his like hands were kind of like doing something. And the subscriber was like, once again, kind of got that feeling that he had with Abby where he was like, okay, maybe I'm being paranoid, but something seems really weird here. I can't exactly put my finger on what exactly is like up, but something is definitely up. So he looks up to him because it's still like a minute before class starts. So people are kind of chatting. He's like, yo, what's up? Like, just like, how's it going? Nothing like too weird. And, James was like, good. Just a very weird response. So while he didn't really think much about it for the rest of the class, it just kind of like crossed his mind every once in a while. He was like, but he also really thought that these 2 things were not related at all. In his mind at the time, he was like, okay, Abby's being weird. And then separate thought, James is being weird. And not for a single second did he ever think that the 2 things could have been correlated. And Abby was being weirdly like smug and smirky and like she knew something that he didn't know. And James was like fidgeting and paranoid, like he knew something or like he knew of something that, the subscriber didn't know. And he's kind of just like, dude, like, what's going on? But once again, he was like, okay, I just accused my girlfriend of overthinking something. I can't do the same thing. I got to be like rational about this and just, Occam's razor. I don't really know what it is, but I know basically it's like states that in most cases, like the most likely scenario is what actually is happening. So he goes by that and says, okay, this is most likely nothing. So I'm going to assume it's nothing. Anyway, so the next day rolls around and he gets a text from his girlfriend, Abby, saying, hey, do you want to go out to dinner tonight? And he's like, yeah, sure. Like it had been a while since they've gone out to dinner, right? So they'd have been in a relationship for 2 years. So after a while, kind of like the fun, magic, whatever, it sometimes does go away. That doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is bad. It just means like you guys are doing different stuff. Like you're just up to other things. So it's kind of like a fancier restaurant. So, he gets kind of dressed up and he's kind of excited because, he hasn't had like a meal like this with his girlfriend in a while. And hey, that's exciting for the guy, right? It's a big step up. Turns out to be a huge step down, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyways, right, so James gets to the, not James, right, the subscriber gets to the restaurant, and, he sees Abby there, and Abby's just sitting at one of the tables, looks up at him and smiles. And he gets a gut feeling that something is wrong. Like, once again, he told himself, like, initially, like, immediately after he got that gut feeling that, once again, he's just being kind of paranoid, and that once again, he was overreacting, but something about the way she looked up at him and smiled, it wasn't like like a big evil devil smile, it also wasn't like some fake smile, but there was just something like behind the smile, behind her eyes, something about the way she did it that he honestly couldn't put a finger on then and can't really describe now, that just made him feel like, oh boy, like something is wrong. And guys, and gals and everyone else, like, trust your intuition. Like, if you ever have a feeling like that, we've evolved for like 10,000 years, and, we have a lot of like senses and stuff that we can't really explain. Sometimes it's good to just, go with that. Like, we're pretty smart individuals, even subconsciously. Maybe sometimes we're smarter subconsciously. Anyways, right, so he goes to sit down, and they have actually a really good conversation. They're just having, she's kind of laughing, things seem good again. He has a bit of a weird feeling, but he's just going with it, man. He's having a great conversation with his girlfriend. Why would he stop? He's on fire, bro. So the waiter comes over and asks them what they want to eat. They both kind of like place an order. And the thing was, let me just preface this. Abby said, you normally get the food for me, so tonight's my treat. Don't even bring your wallet. And she emphasized, don't bring your wallet, right? She made a big deal out of it for some reason to be like, I want to pay for this. Like, this is going to be a nice night. So the subscriber was like, all right. So he didn't even bring his wallet. He felt a little bad about like ordering anything too big, but he just ordered like a standard meal. So did Abby. And, the waiter took their menus, and he left. And this is when things started like, he just got like the biggest like bad feeling that he's gotten the entire time, right? The entire time yesterday when like Abby was talking to him, when she looked at him, the whole thing, he never got a feeling like this before. Because when the waiter looked away, Abby was looking at the waiter as he was walking away, and she turned, looked him straight in the eyes, and had this look. It was the look she had before, but it was like amplified 10x, and he was just completely thrown off by it. Like, once again, he didn't say anything because he didn't want to be like, your energy is weird. He didn't want to be like one of those guys, but oh my God, did he feel it? And yeah, once again, instincts are very accurate most of the time. And she looks at him, and she just says, I didn't like the fact that you had that Maya was your partner for, I think it was like science class or history class. It doesn't even matter. And she's like, I didn't like the fact that, she was your partner. That made me very uncomfortable, and you were complicit. And the subscriber was so thrown off guard because he hadn't heard of this in like a while, right? She didn't say anything about it after that night. And like, it was a very nice night, but the tone completely changed. And she said, so I had to bring matters into my own hands. And at that point, he's like, dude, what? What does that even mean? What do you mean brought matters into your own hands? Like, that's so ominous. The key word of the day, or the secret word of the day, is girlfriend. So if you made it this far into the video, comment girlfriend down below in the comment section. I just like to see how many people make it this far. And by the way, I will be hearting some comments of people who say girlfriend. Here's the thing, I can't get to everyone's comment anymore. There's just too many, which I'm very grateful for. But it just comes to a point I just can't get all the comments. So I apologize, but the best way of getting a heart and farming those hearts is just comment the secret word. With that being said, back to the story. Just a quick recap, the subscriber is sitting there and Abby is sitting there, and she looks at him and says, I'm not happy that you did that partner thing with Maya, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. And that was already kind of weird and ominous. And then she looks at him. She looks at him dead in his eyes and says, that night after I left and you didn't console me or anything? And he's like, dude, what is going on? She's like, I got with your best friend. I got with James. I got with him right after. I drove over to his house. He happily let me in. And at this point, his heart was racing and his mind was like, yeah. So I hope you think twice next time you go around hanging out with random women despite me. And she smiles, she gets up, and she straight up walks out of the restaurant. And like, for some reason, like the waiters didn't see it. No one cared for some reason. So at this point, the subscriber is just completely like, he's shattered, dude. Like, it was the biggest betrayal. And then as he was sitting there, it was sinking in that, Abby just left the restaurant and they ordered something and there was food coming out and that she specifically told him, do not bring your card. And then he realized that she did a double kick in the balls to him. He's sitting there with no way to pay, with food coming out, and Abby left, the only one with a wallet. So he's sitting there just like, wow, my girlfriend is evil. Thankfully, and this is something Abby didn't know, he actually had an app on his phone that allowed him to pay, and the restaurant was good and allowed him to use that. So he basically told the waiter that they were going to have the food to go. He picks up the food, and thankfully he drove himself there as well, so he had a ride back. But that was probably one of the most depressing rides back. He had no music, nothing on, just silence. It started to rain outside as well. It was cinematic, dude. It was not a good time. So the next day rolls around, and he needs to know if this is true. So, he's in class again with James. He sits down at the table, and he pretends like nothing happened, right? But James is freaking out 10x more than he was the day before. So he has a feeling that Abby told him that he knew. So right after class, he's like, hey, James, can we talk for a second? And James's face just he just knew what was coming. He just looks at James. He's like, bro. He doesn't even get it in a sentence. And James is like, dude, I have no idea. I don't know why. I don't. And he just keeps stuttering. And and the subscriber's like, why? He's like, I don't know. And James is just like, I don't know. A moment of weakness, a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, if any of you guys get that reference, right? He's just like, I don't know, man. And the subscriber's just like, well, let me know when you do know. And he kind of angrily walks away. I mean, understandable. And at this point, right, he's back home. The day's over. And he's just like, wow. So he's not just heartbroken at this point, but he's angry at his friend. He's angry at his girlfriend of 2 years for doing something so absurd over literally nothing. And he's really just done. So he does intend on breaking up with Abby at some point. He just doesn't know how he's going to go about it. So he's just sitting in his room, maybe just watching some videos or something, or just chilling, or just because he's in a bad mood. He doesn't want to do anything. He definitely doesn't want to be doing his homework, and he doesn't really want to hang out with anyone because he's not at the point where it's I want to get my mind off it. He's at the point where he's I just got to sit in this. I got to seep in this. I got to stew around for a second. So he sits there, and he's just laying down on his bed at this point. And the phone's next to him, and he's just staring up at the ceiling bro, this sucks. And he gets a text message, and he rolls over, and it's from Abby. And he's like, oh boy. So he picks up the phone, unlocks the phone with his face, and the text message reads, and you're not going to believe this. The text message reads, are you ready to apologize yet? And he does a double take. And he's like, oh, okay, she messed up. She meant to say, I'm ready to apologize. And then he read it again, and he realized, oh my God. No, she wants me to apologize. For what? And he's just so mad at this point. He's just so mad. And he's just like, you know what? You know what? This is the time I break up with her. And I'm going to trick her. I'm going to have a little bit of a prank on the way out. I'm going to have the last laugh. I refuse to let Abby and all the things she's done to me in the last day or two, she's been great before, have the last laugh. And I have a perfect plan. So he responds to the text message saying, are you ready to apologize with yes? Can you pick up a call? And she says, yeah, give me 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes go, the subscriber, gives her a call. She picks up and he immediately says, I'm so sorry. You were totally right about the whole Maya thing. I don't know why I couldn't see it. Completely bluffing, but you'll see what he's about to do. He's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, yep, I knew you'd see my way, right? I knew you'd see it. He says, oh yeah, by the way, another thing, right? Let's just do two things in one call, 2 birds, 1 stone. We're also breaking up. And she's like, just no response for a second. He goes, yeah, we're breaking up. Maya and I, there was nothing there. There was never anything there. We were pre-assigned partners for a class that, it doesn't even matter. And you decided that your response to that was to go to my best friend's house and cheat on me with him right after that happens when we've had no other issues and it's very clearly not an open relationship. Sorry, this very clearly, and he says very clearly twice, is not going to work. And she's just she just starts to say something. He's like, nope, goodbye. Shuts off the phone, just puts it to the side of him, and just has this big old smile on his face. Big old smile. Subscribe if you haven't already, then watch another story video.
In
Bye.
today's story, the subscriber catches his girlfriend cheating in the worst way possible, and it's pretty tough to listen to, but yeah, enjoy the story. Anyways, right, so we got this subscriber, and let's call him James, right? You know, good old James, good guy. James is an upstanding citizen, probably won a few prizes in his day. It's like, one of those Nobel ones, whatever, pretty standard practice. Anyways, right, so, he's in a relationship. He's in a relationship that at this point, and spoiler, it doesn't last much longer. But at this point, right, it's lasted for over a year and a half. So good on James. And who is the lovely lady or man or whoever, right, or whatever, that he's with? He's with this girl, and this girl's name's let's call her Kate. So Kate and James, they've been in a relationship for over a year and a half at this point, and they're going strong. Things are going well. I mean, at least James thinks things are going well. But if you couldn't tell by the literal hook to the video, the intro, the first 5 seconds, things are about to go super duper not so great for the poor guy. Week before what I'll call, very ominously, the incident, right? Kate had started to act a little weird to James. Like, she had just been like, when James had seen her in school and said like hello, like as he always had, and normally she'd been a little flirty back or whatever. Normally she would, just act like, I don't know, like a girlfriend would. It'd be a little fun or whatever. And, they weren't like flirty and butterflies forever. It's been over a year and a half at this point, right? You kind of get over the flirty butterfly stage, or at least a lot of people do. And it doesn't mean the relationship's over or it's in a bad place. It just means like you're kind of getting normalized to the whole idea, which honestly isn't the worst thing ever. But for some reason, right, she was kind of just acting kind of weird. It was just kind of strange. James couldn't exactly put his finger on it, but something just seemed off. She just seemed a little different. She just seemed a little weird. And he couldn't really explain why, but he said something. In retrospect, obviously, it's very clear that she was acting weird. But at the time, he kind of thought, maybe I'm paranoid, maybe I'm looking too much into this. And in most cases, if any of my friends asked me and said, oh, I think my girlfriend's speaking weird or being weird to me, I would say, dude, you're probably overreacting, you're probably overthinking about it. Go enjoy yourself or whatever. But in this case, no, dude, she was actually being weird. She's actually acting weird. That's definitely not going to make me paranoid if I'm ever in a relationship, unlucky, GG. If I'm ever in a relationship and someone's acting weird, maybe I'm going to start freaking out because of this video. The subscriber has cursed me. Anyways, right, so he just thinks something's weird. Anyways, right, so, James is invited to a party, and the party's at the end of the week, and it's been a long week. It's kind of like test week for all the kids in the high school, and someone's throwing kind of like a party. Their parents are out of town, so they're throwing a party as kind of like a big decompressor for everyone in the school, kind of just, or not everyone in the school, let me take that back, a select group of friends, right? People, he's not handing literal invitations out to the principal, the janitor, all the kindergartners or whatever, right? James is invited to a party at the end of the week to decompress, and he's pretty excited, and he goes to his girlfriend, and he doesn't go to his girlfriend. It's the end of the day. He gets invited via text after like Friday is over, and he's in a pretty good mood because he's about to go to a party at night, and he's pretty excited about that. It's been a long week. And he goes to his girlfriend, and he's like, hey, like, I just got invited to a party, and they said you can bring a +1. Do you want to go with me? Like, it's been a really long week, and I also know you've probably had some tests or whatever as well, because it's test week. And I just want to know if you want to go there, decompress, have a really good time or whatever. And she's like, I'm sick. I don't think I can go. I'm so sorry. I would love to go with you, but I'm sick. I'm not feeling it. I got, I don't know, like the virus, the disease. I don't even know, dude. Like, she was just sick. She was having it. Apparently, allegedly, turns out to be fake, false, whatever. Don't want to spoil it, but I just did. Anyways, right. So she's like, oh, are you still going to go? And he's like, I might just chill by myself. I don't know. Like, if you're not going, I don't know if it's worth, like, I don't know if I totally want to go. And he was kind of being serious about that. He was like, yeah, I don't know if I totally want to go. And that's what he said to her. He didn't say, I'm not going, I'm 100% staying in. He just said, I don't know if I totally want to go now. And she doesn't follow up to that. She doesn't send him a text back. And a little piece of information that will be super important later on. In her mind, he said to her, right, there we go, that he's not going. So, yeah, just a little piece of information to hold on to. Anyways, right, so James kind of like, he's sitting around, he's thinking, all right, what am I, like, actually going to do? Like, what am I going to do? He looks at his Xbox, he looks at, like, his PC,
He looks at his, like, he's thinking about, like, movies that are out. He's browsing YouTube. And honestly, he just really kind of wants to go to that party. Yeah, he's pretty bummed that he can't go with his girlfriend. He would have definitely preferred to go with his girlfriend and had a good time with her. You know, maybe had some fun on the dance floor. I don't even know at this point, right? And, you know, the whole kind of like just chilling in the house, dude. Trust me, I love chilling in the house. He loved chilling in the house. Everyone loves just kind of like having a decompressing night. But at this point, he'd been so stressed out and he'd been cooped up in his room studying and stuff that he didn't want to be in his room. He wanted to go out. He wanted to have fun. So yeah, he decided, actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to the party, like whatever. I'll have a good time with my friends there. And he doesn't text his girlfriend this, not because he's trying to sneak out to the party, not because he's trying to backstab her, not because he's trying to lie to her actual face, right? Just because he doesn't think anything of it. Like, she asked, oh, are you going to go to the party? He said, I'm not sure. He goes to the party. Like, she's sick. Why would it, if she's sick, right? Why would it matter? Why would she care? Why would it be even close to being a big deal at all if she's sick? It shouldn't matter at all, right? Am I wrong? I mean, if she's sick and not going to the party, why would she care? If he's going to the party, there's no reason for her to care, right? So he decides, I'm going to go to the party. He doesn't think anything of it. You know, he calls up his friend. He's like, yo, like, I'm not going to be bringing anyone. My girlfriend's sick, right? But yeah, I'll be showing up. And the friend who invited him is pretty like psyched because he's like, dude, so excited to have you there. It's going to be great tonight. Like, you're going to have a good time. Anyways, right? So, you know, he arrives at the party. You know, he gets there and, you know, he goes in there and he recognizes some people. He's having a pretty good time. He's a little bummed that his girlfriend isn't there. I'm not gonna spoil it. No more spoilers. But he's a little bummed that his girlfriend, quote unquote, isn't there, right? And you know, it's tough. It's like, you know, he's having a good time. So he goes and seeks out his friend. And he finds some friends there. He's decompressing. He's talking about how hard the week was. He's starting to actually have a good time. He's starting to enjoy himself, and he's really glad he came. He's really glad he didn't stay in the night. And he is actually having a really good time. And he's like, man, like, this night is going really well. I'm having a really good time. And, you know, this is a good call. And then, you know, he's had, you know, some, you know, beverages, a lot of apple juice or whatever to drink. So he has to go pee. And he goes to the person. He's like, yo, do you mind if I use the bathroom? The dude's like, you can, but there's a pretty long line. And he points to the bathroom, and there's a line of like 6 people waiting. And he's like, okay, dude, do you just have to go pee? And you know, James is the subscriber's like, yeah, I just have to go pee real quick. And the person hosting the party kind of like looks at him. He says, all right, like, just go outside. It doesn't matter. Like, the backyard is fenced in. No one's going to see it. Obviously, don't, like, pee over the fence, or don't pee on something. Don't pee on the house. Don't pee in the house. Don't pee on my neighbor, my elderly neighbor, in her face, or anything like that, right? Don't do anything like that. Just go to pee. Just take a wee outside. And he does. He walks outside, and, you know, he's unzipping his pants, and he's just letting it go in the grass. And he's having a good time. It's just a good feeling, you know, when you have to go pee, and you finally let it go. And he's having a great feeling until he looks and he sees kind of like he looks outside at the lawn. And he sees 2 people, and one of them looks really familiar, man. One of them looks really familiar. Third phrase of the day is party, so comment party down below if you made it this far into the video. I just like seeing how many people made it this far. Watch time is cool. It makes my channel go burr. So yeah, watch the videos. I really am appreciative. I'll try and heart a bunch of these, but I can't get to all the comments, and I'm really sorry about that. To kind of say thank you. So your best chance of getting a heart is just commenting party down below in the comment section. With that being said, back to the story. Little recap, he's going out, taking a little wee-wee in the yard, having a good night. It's been a stressful week. And he looks out in front of him, right? The yard, no one else is in the yard except 2 people. And the 2 people are kind of going at it, right? They're making out. They're having like little love bunny moment, right? They're going at it. And, you know, the subscriber is like, he's kind of squinting. He's making a little squinty face because he kind of recognizes someone. He kind of recognizes the girl. He's like, she looks so familiar, man. And he's squinting a little bit harder. And then his heart starts to drop. His heart starts to race. His face is like, I gotta be seeing things, man. Like, there's no way. She's sick. This girl looks just like his girlfriend. And what he does is, you know, they're kind of very preoccupied, if you know what I mean. So they're probably not going to notice if he kind of like sneaks up on them. So what he ends up doing is, right, he gets a little closer. He gets a better angle. And, you know, he gets it just so the lighting is good enough that he gets a very good he can see really well. He gets a good enough view, and it's 100% his girlfriend. Yep, there's no question about it. It is 100% Kate, and some random guy. So honestly, the funny thing was, at first he didn't even like register that like she was getting with some guy. He was literally like, "Why did she lie to me? She said that she was sick." And then like it all kind of clicked in his head, and he's like, "Oh my God." The relationship, the 1.5 year relationship with someone who I thought I could really trust and have like a really good time with, and I was kind of bummed that they didn't come to the party, but they actually did, is literally just sucking the face off some random dude. Yeah, that's cool. I'm having a great week. This was a great week. I probably failed half my tests, and now this. Awesome, epic, wow, I love my life. The guy's honestly very sad. Like, it's like, I know I was kind of like trolling a second ago and like goofing or whatever, but this is a tough moment for the guy. Like, he's honestly like really struggling right now. And he's just kind of thinking to himself, like, wow, like, I thought this was the girl for me. I thought she was it. I thought, like, I could have, like, a long-term thing with her. Like, I really did. Like, I really believed in it. And he went back inside. He went back into the party. And he found one of his friends, and he explained everything that happened. And the friend's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, dude, I don't know what to say, man. Like, this sucks. Subscribers, like, yeah, it just completely ruined my mood, like 100%, which is unfortunate because, like, you know, my ride is my other friend. He drove me here, and, you know, I don't know where he is, but he's obviously having a good time. The party's not even close to being over, but I just kind of want to go home, and I just don't want to be here when my girlfriend is literally cheating on me with some rando. And the friend's like, dude, I got you. And he's like, hey, I'll pay for an Uber for you. And James is like, dude, you don't have to do that. Like, it's okay. And he's like, no, bro, like, I owe you for something anyways. You got the Uber last time. Let me just order you up an Uber. Yep, it should be here in 10 minutes. If you can make it out 10 minutes, feel free to just, like, chill with me. And James is like, bro, I so appreciate it. You're my homie. I love you, but I just need a second by himself. And the dude's like, totally get it. So James kind of just walks, like, towards the door. It's just kind of like, he's just kind of moping there, and he's like, I'm just going to stand outside. I'm just going to wait on the curb. I don't want to be in this party anymore. And so on his way to the door, he has to go down this kind of passage, which is like, you know, in a house, there's like passages all around. It's like between the kitchen and the door outside. And as he's walking down this passage, right, as he's walking down, two people kind of like fumble out in front of him. And since he's kind of like, they're not paying attention, he's not paying attention, dude. He's in a whole different world at this point. He's just in his mind thinking. And they bump into each other. And, you know, James looks at who it is. And you know who's staring him right back in the face? Kate. And you know who Kate is wrapped in her arms with? Some random dude. And, you know, the subscriber kind of just like, you know, deals with kind of like, you know, he kind of copes with like humor or whatever. So he looks at her and he's like, well, looks like you're not sick after all. I'm glad for the, you know, happy for your speedy recovery. And she kind of just looks at him and just kind of with these eyes of just like, I'm sorry. Because, like, this is kind of, like, sad, but, like, they were actually, like, they did like each other. I don't totally know what went wrong, and she wasn't, like, super evil or whatever, but she knew how much, like, this hurt him, right? And the dude's, like, that, like, she's in the arms with, like, who's this guy? Like, who's this loser, right? And she's like, don't say that. Like, she's like, this is just a friend. That's what got the subscriber, though. That's what got James in the heart. Bro, if she was, like, ragging on him, it would have made him, like, sad. But, like, the fact that she was like, oh, it's just some friend, just made him depressed, bro. Just really just took the life out of him. Yeah, the Uber ride gets there, and he gets picked up on the Uber, and he goes back home, and just goes to bed. Straight to bed, right? But then he heard I'm going to tell a little mini story of what happened after James left. And James was told this from the friend who stayed. So basically, the host of the party, one of James's good friends, the word got around of what happened. And the friend of James who hosted the party was so mad that he found out Kate and the random guy that she was with and literally kicked them out of the party. Like said, oh, you guys are gone. Get an Uber, get a ride. You're no longer welcome in this house. And the dude's like, bro, what's up? And he's like, dude, I don't even know you. Because the thing is, Kate was invited, and this rando was apparently her plus one. The guy's like, I don't even know you, dude. Don't even talk back to me. The guy's like, whatever, man. And Kate's like, why is this happening? And the friend's like, you know exactly why this is happening. And Kate kind of just looked at him like, yeah. Like she was defeated at that point. When James heard that the next day, right, because he broke up with her like the next day over text, he didn't even give her the courtesy of getting a breakup in person. Like he was like, that's so disrespectful what she did. Like, I'm not going to give her a respectful breakup. Who cares, right? But the next day in school, when like the friend comes up and tells him about that, he's just having a good day again. Like it is probably one of the most helpful things for him to have the quickest bounce back because he's got the biggest smile on his face. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now watch another video, or I don't know, you're bad or something, or just watch a video. Bye.